Welcome everyone to podcast episode number 16. Today we're going to talk all about the Chill of Ravenloft expansion. Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the lag situation a bit. Before we do that, I thought we would start first by going around and everyone just give a little intro of yourself briefly. Druid's Fire, you want to go first?
No, but since you put me up to it, sure, why not? I'm Spire. I stream randomly on my own channel, but I will be streaming tomorrow night, Sunday on the official DDO stream channel. But I don't know what I'll be doing. Um, and I play fairly casually. I love to run with a pack of hires, and I really hate that there aren't good rogue hires for various levels. Yeah.
All right, we have returning Glassjaws. You want to go next?
Hey, yeah, I'm Glassjaws. I randomly stream as well. Much more random than Druid's Fire, I think, or much less frequent. But just here to have fun, talk about Lamortia.
Nomad?
Nomad Dog. I stream a couple times a week, fairly regularly. I also stream on Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. A couple shows ahead of Druid's Fire, part of the Super Sunday showdown that we got going on over there. But looking forward to this. I always look forward to these discussions. They're always fun and get some insight from different people. So.
And we also have returning Dom, who was on last on episode number 3 when we talked about Reaper Wings on Hardcore. Dom, you want to just introduce yourself a bit?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, first of all. And as I said, my name's Dom. Mostly play on Thrain, and a bit more focus on the end game side of things, Reaper 10s, Reaper raids, stuff like that. So, gonna offer some more of that perspective.
Yeah, and it was awesome. I'm glad you can make it, because I know with these podcasts, it's been a little bit hard to get players, who are kind of top players to come on. So I always love hearing y'all's perspective on things as well. Okay, so we'll start today just with, I thought before we went into the expansion, we're going to go through everything. We're going to go through the wilderness and the quests and all that and the crafting and loot. But I want to start with lag. I think we need to talk about the whole lag situation in DDO just a little bit, because clearly it's like the big thing right now in DDO. It's affecting everyone. So what are your all's experiences with the whole lag situation? SSG has been working, doing lots of updates, trying different things to reduce it. And I will say it's been slowly improving, I think, but it's still obviously as far from being fixed. So what are your all's experiences like lately, and how much is it affecting, your gameplay?
Well, I'll start since I play night Eastern time. It affects me greatly. I haven't had a really good experience in, God, weeks. There'll be occasions where you can go an hour or two sometimes, and then there's nights where you just give up and nothing works. It was okay a little yesterday, but still had some issues, especially Marketplace was just locked up.
And what server do you play on, Glassjaws?
Thrain.
Okay, yeah, you just said Thrain. Yeah, it seems like it's been a little bit worse on Shadowdale and Thrain for sure. They seem to have a little bit more population, and then I think Coromir is getting the best of things, although it's still, isn't exactly running perfectly. But it seems to be some kind of a lot of server optimization that needs to take place. Severland's also has made some posts about it, explaining more details about what's been going on in the recent weeks. And I know this week, believe the changes had to do with certain objects in the environment, and trying to reorient those to reduce the server performance issues. But I will say, as someone who, I work a 9 to 5 job, so I have to play basically during prime time all the time. So it's been definitely gotten me to not play quite as much. But it's sometimes it's fine though. Like last weekend, it was fine most of the time, but it seems like on the weekends it's mostly fine, but then on the weekdays it seems to, around like 8 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern, it seems to start to hit, I think, when the West Coasters get on. So yeah, it's just my experience, and I already did a whole YouTube video about it. So I guess I really wanted to see what you all thought, and if I'm overreacting, and if it's not, if I'm taking it harder than others.
That's really the thing, is it's not overreacting, but it's also not 100% pervasive, and that's really one of the things you don't get because people aren't going to roll into the Discord.
Yeah, you lost your webcam, but no worries. You can just keep talking.
Oh, my camera went out again.
Yeah,
Dang
no
it.
worries.
Sorry. But basically, one thing that I've noticed is it's always generally the same people reporting the lag, and they're generally doing certain kinds of activities. But it's not universal in that, there are folks who run solo with hires. Hello, that's me. Who also experience lag occasionally. My personal experience is, I'll admit I cheated and played on Cormier the past couple weeks because I knew that if I'm going to be on the official stream, I do want to showcase things pretty decently. And there were a lag spike hither and yonder, but it was really nothing really to write home about. But I wouldn't, like rub people's noses into the fact that Cormier is performing better. It just is. I mean, after a while, people kind of get tired of hearing about it. I'll be honest. Um, but I did actually. I was playing last night at stupid o'clock hours on Shadowdale, and I only had one real moment of any kind of lag, and it lasted for like a minute and a half. But beyond that, it was smooth sailing. I was running Elite with a pack of hires, running through Myth Draenor, and I got a rare last night. Oh my god. I almost vendored it too. Because it's a robe and I wasn't paying attention.
Dom,
But,
how's? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
well, no, I do apologize. I was taking a drink real quick.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Uh, so people are more likely to report bad stuff than to report good stuff. I mean, that is human nature. So we're not seeing a lot of reports of things going really, really well. We're only hearing the negative things. And I'm not saying the negative stuff isn't happening because people wouldn't be complaining if they were. If it wasn't happening, I mean, that's just the way of things. But in general terms, yeah, it's a problem. And yes, it needs to be addressed. I think it's better, though. I will note the thing that you had mentioned that Seb had also mentioned about the rocks and trees and things and being weird places. Uh, it actually, a similar thing happened in the other game, The Lord of the Rings Online, and wound up actually placing a rock on a like an automated travel route. So people couldn't actually complete their journeys to where they were going. And they wound up actually memorializing the rock because we called it Dwayne, the rock. And they made it a housing item because we're a bunch of nerds and, fell in love with a rock in the middle of the road in Bree.
I was going to ask Dom, is it affecting you all's your guild's play like at R10s, and I don't know if you all are R10 rating or whatever it is you all do lately, but I know I've kind of stopped rating temporarily because it's just too unpredictable with the lag.
Yeah, it's been pretty hit and miss, I'll say. I mean, like even just casual gameplay, like leveling up on R1, you notice it in certain quests. Sometimes you can like step out, reset the instance, and it fixes it. And sometimes you're just stuck there for 20 minutes doing absolutely nothing. But like recently, like regular raids, TON and DOV have been pretty bad. We were actually doing R10 DOV a couple weeks ago and completely lag locked in the transition between the third and fourth head. And of course, Misc stalkers are moving fine, corrupting, adding the stacks, no problem. But we're stuck there, and we ended up wiping. And yeah, that ended up driving a lot of people away. And I think that's just kind of the general experience as well. Like even in regular leveling, people get locked up, don't want to deal with it, log off, won't come back for a couple days.
Yeah, and it seems like it's at least if you don't play on prime time, it's mostly doable. Like I know when I'm at work and I'm watching all the streamers like Voodoo and whatnot playing on not peak hours, it seems to be mostly fine. It's just really like peak hours that's the issue. But I mean, I don't want to get like too negative about this, but because I think they will. I'm very confident they will fix it. It's just I hope they fix it sooner rather than later. You know.
Yeah, my play experience has been different than everyone else's because I don't play on U.S. mainland primetime hours. My usual play time is between 12 a.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern, right? Just because of where I'm at. So
He's in
for
Hawaii
me,
for anyone who doesn't know.
yeah. So I'm in Hawaii. So I'm 6 hours behind East Coast time. For me, most of my play experiences have been pretty good. Yes, we do occasionally get lag and lockup and stuff, but not anything extended. If I play on the weekends, though, that's a different experience because there are times when I just got frustrated and I just quit. And I normally don't. I usually just try to power through it. Um, but a lot of the times, especially over the last week or so, I was I reincarnated and was doing some harbor stuff last Thursday, and it was like playing, like it was way back when, with very little lag, hardly any issues. But by the way, I do play on Thrain primarily as well, and I think maybe we had 300 to 400 people on at that time, right? So the population's down, server load is not as much, and my play experience has been different from a lot of people. So, but I think part of that's just due to the time difference.
I will say I do think there's some things that are not related to the population. I know generally the East Coast prime time has it, but we were trying Deathworm last weekend. I think, assuming DDO audit's right, there was only like 400 people on at the time, and it was locking up hard. We spent an hour and a half trying to finish that, and eventually the raid just stopped spawning the phylactery. It just nothing you can do at that point. So it was very frustrating.
And that's also one of those raids that have historically had bad lag in general, right?
Yeah, I know there's a theory about archers causing a lot of lag issues, and that raid has a particularly high amount during the final fight shooting at you.
Well, is there anything you guys want to say on lag? Anything else before we move on to actually reviewing the expansion?
Slow but steady.
Yep.
Let's get there.
I have to point out that Severlin, that's actually how you say his name,
Oh yeah.
blamed
it
the
is.
lag on Jerry because apparently he was in Discord the other night, checking on things after the update. And he's saying, I'm not experiencing any lag. And then Cord is like, what the heck, Sev? So we can all blame Cordovan for the lag.
Yes.
Sev said so.
Everything's his fault, always.
You heard it here first. Or second, I guess.
Yeah. I immortalized. I saved a copy of that because you just have to. But I wouldn't, I wouldn't troll Jerry about it right now. The poor soul's sick right. That's why we didn't have a Fridays at 4 yesterday. Is as of the time of this broadcast, Cordo got a cold and was not feeling well.
Yeah, that sucks. I saw that. Feel better, Cordovan. All right, guys, let's move on to the expansion. So, Chill Ravenloft, the newest expansion, it has 13 quests, 1 raid, a wilderness, and a public area. We won't be talking about the raid in this podcast because as of when we're recording it, the raid is not yet out. The quests are level 36 legendary, 8 heroic. Let's start with the public area and the wilderness. So, public area, there's one small public area. It's a city hall town. I think it's called Lunendorf Hall, I believe. And then the wilderness, we have one wilderness, which is it's quite a bit smaller in size than the last expansion, Mithranors, which can be a great thing or a not so great thing, depending on what you prefer. It has Slayer, rares, and journals that you can collect. They did bring back the purple named rare mechanic. So we have 3 purple named rares, like boss, like sort of like raid boss type mobs, like a higher level of challenge. There's a frost giant, an Etten, and a hydra. And what else? Oh, there's some sections where you can climb on buildings, which I thought was a little bit different and neat compared to the previous expansion. But yeah, what are y'all's thoughts on the public area and wilderness for this expansion? Go ahead, Glassjaws. I saw you want to chime in. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just didn't want to interrupt anybody.
Yeah, no, you're
I
good.
enjoy it. The public area, it's okay. I'm not a huge fan, but it's not anything bad. It's decently laid out. The wilderness I love. I think it's pretty much like the perfect size for what they did here, right? It really feels like you're in this city as opposed to like Mitranor, where it's just everywhere and their brother. right? It's a country as opposed to a city. I really like the 3 dimensions. Finding the last rare that you have to get up on a building and jump into a locked off area was cool. Overall I really like the feel of it. Very industrial feeling. A little bit of steampunk feel to it, but mostly that kind of industrial grunge feel to the whole area. Really gives it a good vibe, in my opinion.
I think the size of yeah, I mean, it's pretty much perfect just for running from quest to quest. I know a lot of people really like the huge Mithranor wilderness, which I see that, but I think with Mithranor, they should have put a few more things probably in the wilderness to give you things. Like I would have loved to see like the King's Forest style, rare encounters, maybe some of those in there to help fill it out, to give you more to do when you're running around. Whereas this one, in Chill and Ravenloft, it's at a size where you don't need that stuff because it's not big enough as to feel like there's any empty space. So yeah, I think for the number of quests they have, it's pretty much the perfect size.
I think my only comment on the wilderness itself is simply the fact that yes, the story says that they burned all the trees, for firewood, etc. Um, it felt too bleak. There would still be some kind of vegetation besides, snow everywhere. There would be something, some kind of plant life. Weeds because people are obviously not taking care of their properties. But in terms of the 18th century industrial vibe, perfect. Having lived in England in old industrial towns briefly when I was in college, yes, that's exactly how it felt. I would also give a shout out to the outfitting of all the NPCs all over the place. Can we have their attire, please? Thank you very
Oh, I
much.
know. I
Signing
noticed
from.
that. I assume some of the items you can get the flat cap and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, a
Mm-hmm,
lot of the
mm-hmm.
NPCs, both on the male and female characters, I would love to
Yeah,
have.
and I can also see, and I play the other game. A lot of the hobbits be like, "I want those clothes too. Thank you very much." Hmm, hmm. But in terms of the where things are, how big it is, it's again, I agree with the others. The size of the wilderness is acceptable for what you're doing and where you're running around. I do love the verticality, being able to jump up on the buildings and try to, fire escapes in the 18th century. Come on, that's not true. That never happened.
I wish one
At
of
least
the quest entrances was on top of a building, personally, but
that would have been cool. That totally would have been cool. So yeah, the running around the getting the hirelings lost on the fire escapes was awesome until you control click your way to summoning them to you. But yeah, adding that as another dimension to how you play, so you're not just running around, a landscape. You have to actually think, what's up there? Can I get up there? How can I? I was honestly getting a little bit of proto Spider-Man vibes. It's like, how am I going to get over to this building, into that building, and that building? And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I did enjoy. I did like the verticality. It made it interesting and different from what we've had, which I liked. The vibes are perfect for what they're trying to achieve. I think that was like the biggest thing I liked about the wilderness area. Um, I agree with Druid's Fire. Yeah, I get the trees aren't there, but dear Lord, give me some type of vegetation, even if it's just a random shrub somewhere next to a building, or even a tumbleweed that's just kind of propped up somewhere. I think that, but I get it because you're trying to go for that whole bleak, you know, type of vibe to it.
yeah, I feel the same way about Salt Marsh. It's like, yeah, it's not the prettiest area in the world, but that's basically what the theme is, though. It's what they were going for. So you can't expect a Feywild, really, or a Mithranor.
But yeah, I mean the size is really good. I like it. It's not overly large, and I wasn't wishing for teleporters to get out to the quests.
See, I was gonna bring that up here next. Are you all cool with no teleporters? Because I totally am. I don't think they're necessary, but I know there's some players, they want teleports to every single quest, like Ravenloft, like the original Ravenloft expansion. But
Unless you're running these in order,
which I
things are.
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand for Mithranor maybe, but for this expansion, I
Yeah,
thought that
Mr. would have needed
I
that.
think you
Needs
can
them.
just pick up all the quests and just run around. But that also adds another problem, which I guess we can get into now, is it's like impossible to follow the story in order without you have to go back to the tavern every single time, and that's so impractical. I wish there was some way they could instead of had the quest, the NPCs where you pick up the quest instead of them all being in the tavern, maybe put them beside the quest entrances so that when you finish a quest, you can turn it in right there, and then it tells you the next part of the story and points you to the next quest, and then you run to that quest. I think that would have been better personally.
Well, they tried that new mechanic in the Asylum, or not mechanic, new way of kind of continuing the quest line when you finish that, how it completes your quest and gives you the next one
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't picked it up, right? So they could have done that at the end of each one if they, in the future, if they want to have you be able to do the story in order.
Yeah, and I know probably most players don't care because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I would say most players don't really read the story, or if they read the story, it's once and it's probably not all of it, and then they probably never read it again. But I actually went through and read the story like, in order because I wanted to understand the story. So I went and I did the quest in order, and then I recalled to the tavern every single time to pick up the next quest and talk to
That's how I did it.
the yeah. But it's so impractical to do that. I did it once. I will never do it again, and it's a shame you can't. It's not easier because they put so much time and effort into this story. It's just a shame they didn't make it easier for you to actually read the story.
Yeah, I was doing the story along and something popped up in my head. It was like, it was really a shame in the Slayer area that everything always starts off as aggro to you. Because until you do the second quest in there, like Mordenheim doesn't give a damn about you. And then the chain giver
Mm-hmm.
tells you you've made an enemy of Mordenheim at some point after one of the quests. And it'd been interesting for things to become aggro once you were flagged as an enemy of Mordenheim. Would have been cool. I know there's possible, issues with that, with people maybe skipping a quest so they don't become an enemy. Maybe I don't know. I don't think that's a problem per se, but it was an interesting, kind of story dynamic there that would have been fun to play into the Slayer area.
And what do you all think about the return of the purple named rares? Have you all been hunting those much? And my understanding is they don't have rare loot this time around. Is
I
that
think they
correct?
have augments.
Okay. Maybe Dom, maybe you know. I don't know, but I don't think they have rare loot.
Yeah, I don't recall if they have rare named items, but maybe rare augments. But one thing I do
Okay.
like is that they added all of the different materials when you kill a named item, named boss. It's not just like one type.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it a bit more worthwhile to spend the time doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they fixed the epic Slayer area, it was much better. Where initially it was giving the wrong XP and not dropping the right mats and everything.
Oh yeah. Have any of you all fought the Hydra? I haven't fought the Hydra yet. I haven't spent a lot of time in the wilderness.
Yeah.
What is it like the Hydra compared to the Hydra in Den of Vipers? What are
It's
the
very
differences?
similar. You do percentage of damage, head drops off, you kill it.
Okay. Is there a circle
I,
you have to bring the head to? Like in the
nah, you
raid?
just
No.
kill it.
Okay.
It's very frustrating though, in that the head will not count as being killed sometimes, and the Hydra will regenerate.
Mm.
So it's like every 400,000 hit points when you're solo drops a head effectively.
Okay. And I know last shows we were talking before we started. You were talking. You want to explain to people what you think about the wax museum section of the wilderness?
I mean, I spent so much time. I thought there was a secret there. I kept searching and searching, and like some of the wax things point at photos that look or paintings. I'm like, okay, there's got to be a secret here. But I talked to one of the secret devs, and there's nothing secret about it. I know Nomad mentioned he thinks that's where the raid entrance is going to be. Though I don't know how they're going to do that because it's still considered a party zone. So they would have to revamp that to allow 12 people in there. It may be what they use as the start of the raid, right? Like you zone into the raid and you're in the wax museum, but not that wax museum, if that makes sense. But it's a cool little area. It's a little like it has nothing there, in the Slayer zone, so it's kind of just there.
Yeah, it was just like glassy. I was searching everywhere inside there. It's like there's got to be something. Why would you build this giant building and deck it out with all this stuff and then nothing? So yeah, so that's why I think that it's going to have something to do with the raid.
Didn't they actually confirm that on a stream recently? Oh, I think it was actually Knockback's interview.
Oh, was it with Troy?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think
haven't.
Knockback did confirm that.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I still need to listen to that. I haven't had a chance to
here.
check that out. Wonder if he put it on
Thanks for the
YouTube
info.
or anything. Hopefully he did.
I think
Yeah,
he has. Yeah,
it's on YouTube.
Okay, great.
all
I'll
over
give
the
it
place.
try to give it a listen this week. But okay. Is there what do you all think about the not? There's not really a lot to say, but what do you think about the public area? Is there any? It's pretty much just a building. They crammed in everything you would need in there. They got the crafting tables in there. I think they have a banker in there in addition to. I think they have everything in there. Do they not?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have all the
Basically
things.
everything. Is there anything that they don't have in there? Not that I can think of.
The kitchen sink.
I almost would have liked if they had put that kind of courtyard area out in front of the city hall as a public area as well to kind of spread some of the stuff out. I it for me it's a little too cramped.
Yeah.
It's getting like Gatekeeper's Grove.
Like Saltmarsh Boat. I felt
There's just
yeah.
there's just too much stuff in that one space, and I would have liked to have seen them use that courtyard area for some of that kind of stuff. Like maybe like the crafting tables or whatever, be interesting.
Or the
I'm
trainer.
going to gently disagree, simply because when I want to get to something, for like town services, I don't want to run all over the place. I just want to get there, get it, get out of there. So it's kind of like when I'm building in Ark, I put all my crafting stations where I don't have to move very far to go from station to station. It's just right there. I can just reach out and get what I need. And so I kind of go into that mindset when it comes to where things are. So I definitely prefer there being a smaller distance. And I think the city hall was big enough, in my opinion. But that's just me.
There's one thing missing. Randall Lyric. We got no Randall Lyric there.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Do we even have augments for what is it? Minimum level? Do they have minimum level 36 or?
I think Vecna was the last time we got a Randall Lyric. Like I don't think MD has one.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't remember a Randall Lyric being in there.
You could have dressed him up, fit him in, would have been fine.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to be dressed up. His overcoat outfit is perfect.
Get that leather duster.
Yeah. Yeah, he always reminds me of the inventory guy in Resident Evil 4 when I see him. Maybe that's just me. Anyways, anything else on the public area, the wilderness you all want to talk about? Oh, one thing I do want to say. I wish that after you complete the first quest, and I guess we'll talk about this when we get to the quest, but I wish it would like just bring you after you finish that to the city hall. But yeah, that's something I guess we can talk about later when we get into the quest. Corche in chat says Randall Lyric was a Tonkin thing, so we won't see more of him in the future. Okay. Well, maybe another dev can take up the mantle.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Anything else? Okay, I think that's it for that. Let's move on to the monsters. So I tried to make a list of all the new monsters, so y'all tell me if I missed some. Probably missed one. But we have, in terms of new monsters, Cold Light Walker, who are the hooded undead that have the cold beam that comes out of their faces. We have Grimshka, which are the green dogs that look similar to the Kushis, kind of, from Feywild. We have Stone Lions, which are the same as the mount in the, I think it's the Ultimate Fan Bundle version of the expansion. You get the Stone Lion mount, but you actually fight them as well. We get a lot of the Servitors, which are the Frankenstein humanoid-looking monsters. Well, the very classic Frankenstein-looking monsters. We have Brains in a Jar, which is similar also to one of the either Collectors or Ultimate Fan Bundle version. It was a cosmetic pet, but you actually fight those as well. We have the Gricklings, which are the alien face hugger looking things with the tentacles, and I think it's a beak in the center. We have Dead Man's Wrath, which is the banshee looking, for me easily the coolest looking monster in the expansion is the Dead Man's Wrath. But what do y'all think about the new monsters? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Was there anything that wasn't included that you wanted to see?
Well, the Grickling messed me up because I don't like face huggers, and I don't like snakes. So when I saw those, I had a proper jump scare. But I freaking love the Cold Light Walkers. They are the best thing ever. With their hoods, then you actually have skulls that float around in the hoods. Well, not actual skulls, but it looks like a texture of skulls hovering in the background. Like, ooh, oh my god, I love them.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. Literally.
Yes. So the Dead Man's Wrath is actually Gallows Speaker, is the monster type, and that's a monster type that actually came from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
Oh.
So I love, that's one of my favorite things about this expansion is the new monsters and which ones that they chose to use. Because there's a whole bunch in Van Richten's that they could have picked. And Cold Light Walker is actually not from Van Richten's Guide. It's actually from Rime of the Frostmaiden, which was an earlier Icewind Dale 5e campaign. But it fits, right? It fits really well in this environment, and I like the addition of it. And the one thing that I've started doing is whenever I'm running quests and you get one of the Juggernaut servitors, I just started calling it Lurch. And that's officially the name that I'm going to be calling it from now on. Every time one attacks me, look, I'm being attacked by Lurch.
Yeah, I was looking at all the golems, especially in the asylum, and they're all dressed like 60 TV dads. They got their sweater vest on and everything. It's very, that's more disturbing to me than the flesh golem part.
You know, I had a lot of players tell me that they had a viral, like a very disgusting reaction to they're not, what is it? The Gricklings. I'm sorry. The Gricklings. Yeah, they are pretty freaky looking.
Well, and that whole quest talks about them climbing through the vent and everything in the animal one.
Uh-huh.
So it's got a very alien thing going on there.
Yeah, and you kind of get their backstory in Zoo Creeper. It talks about how Victra created them. For anyone who wants to learn a little bit more about that monster, you might want to read the story in that quest.
I'm still trying to figure out the anti-caster mechanics on the Grimshka.
See, and that's
because I know they've got a few things they do.
Yeah. See, that's the thing I wanted to get into next, because these monsters, a lot of them look really cool, but from what I played so far, and maybe I need to play more or play higher skulls. The highest I played is R6 for the whole saga, but for me, they haven't really like altered my play style at all. Like required me to play the game differently or approach encounters differently. I don't know if that's true. Dom, is that true? Higher skulls. Have you played this on R10? Like, does it make you play differently any of these monsters?
I haven't played it personally on a caster yet on R10, but like we did the R10 trio challenge, and I don't think the caster in our group had any issues. So it might just be, I don't know, an occasional anti-magic field if you're too close or something like that.
Okay.
Well,
which one has the anti-magic field?
It's not an anti-magic field. It's the Grimshka have a few different things they do. Like all those little spawnlings you see are reactions to spellcasters casting stuff near them. Mm. And then they can do a blast and they can heal. Like the little force thing they do under the ground is a reaction to spellcasting. And then if I remember correctly, they can heal themselves as well. But I don't know if there's a distance to it. I haven't been able to figure that out because a lot of times you're attacked in very small rooms where you can't get distance on them.
And I see the beam coming out of the Cold Light Walker, but I'm not really sure what it's exact. I mean, usually it's dead before. I tried to leave some alive to see what it's doing, but I never really understood what exactly the mechanic was there. If it's just a beam of cold, maybe it's just a beam of cold damage. I don't know.
I step out of it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe it's just okay. It's just a spell, I guess.
Was the Frostworm new? I can't remember if we had Frostworms before.
Oh, I mean, yeah, maybe I missed one. I tried to not miss one, but I couldn't find a definitive list anywhere on the on SSG's website. So yeah, perhaps.
And we
Um,
had the new type of birds, which are just ravens reskinned, it seems.
oh yeah, yeah. I didn't really count
The
those.
the petrels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
petrels. Yeah, and there's even one of them's an optional in what is it? Cold Snap, I think. One of the quests.
I enjoy the rare where you talk to him, and so there's a rare out in the wilderness. If you talk to him slow enough, you see the birds come and land near you in multiple waves. So if you just talk to one dialogue, watch through the next, etc., it's kind of fun to let them all kind of come and land. It's very Hitchcock feeling.
Draco in chat says Etten. Yeah, Etten's actually they're a newer monster, but they've actually they debuted in what is it, Dinosaur Crisis, I think it is, um, that quest. So they've been in the game for a few months already, but they are used a lot more in this expansion for sure.
I don't
Uh,
know why.
well, anything else you all want to say on the monsters before we get into the next thing?
Gallows speakers are still my favorite. Just the whole aura with the skulls and the whole banshee look is the it is,
Yeah,
in my
it
opinion,
looks
one of the
awesome.
better skinned monsters in the game.
Oh, for sure. And
Agreed.
I wish we could play a Pale Master and look like that. Wouldn't that be sweet? All right. Well, let's move on to. I want to talk a little bit about the Dark Gift and the Dark Gift altar in the wilderness. So, after for anyone listening, after you complete the saga, you as a saga reward can get an offering item from the saga list, and you can take this offering to the altar, and you can get a Dark Gift or an enhanced Dark Gift, and this can be on any character of any class, any race. You don't have to be a Dark Bargainer. If you're a Dark Bargainer, you can get two. What do you all think about this? Yeah, like basically putting this feat, giving you unlockable feats essentially in the expansion. And these, by the way, these feats are similar to what the Dark Bargainer has. There's the idea is that they have a pro and a con, but I think for some of them, the usually the cons are pretty minute in my experience. But what do y'all think? What feats have you been taking? Have you been running this in heroics just specifically for that feat? Even if the XP hasn't been great, which by the way I know they talked about increasing XP. I don't know if they have yet or if it's good now. But what do y'all think about that?
I mean,
Have you
there's
all?
two aspects to it, in my opinion. One of them, it feels like a little bit of pay to win. So if you don't get the expansion and
Yeah,
there's something really good for you there, then it's kind of a little bit of a kick there. I do like the idea of being able to have story things that you earn for your character, though. So it's kind of, I'm a little bit torn there. Some of them are very strong depending on what you play. Like I mentioned before here, I ran the heroic just to get the gift because I was playing a Dark Apostate. So getting all that negative spell power and negative amp was pretty darn strong for the undead form.
yeah, I had the same reaction actually. Right when I first saw it, I'm like, don't really like the idea of paywalling feats in an expansion because yeah, most of them don't really matter that much. They're not that important to characters, but there are exceptions, like what the one Glassjaw's talked about. If you're a Pale Master, caster, especially if you're a soloer and you don't care at all about the negative or the positive penalty, I mean that's a huge power increase for your character.
I would actually say this is apples to apples with any expansion. It's just a different kind of apple, um, in that if you don't have Isle of Dread, you can't get Dino Bone stuff. If you don't get Mithranor, you can't get the potential of rolling a super rare thingy majigger. Which, hey, I got one last night. But it's the power is the power, right? So the source of the power, it is different, yeah, but it's still the same mechanic of if you don't have the expansion, you lose out on this thing. So for me, it's just a different flavor of apple. One is a little bit more tart than the other one.
And that's
Yeah,
true, but at least for items and gear, there's always an option in other content. What made this feel a little different to me is that it is a feat, and they've never done this with feats before, unless you count the favor reward stuff. And then a few of them are so important to certain characters, and you can't get them anywhere else. Just to me, that's why it felt I had that reaction compared
You
to
can't get them
Civ 2.
anywhere else yet.
Yeah, that's true. Well, are they going to make dark gifts available elsewhere? Maybe. I mean, you can also get them by being dark
maybe
bargainer.
some other feat mechanic in
Yeah.
some other expansion. But again, it's kind of like the first time that sort of thing shows up, you can't get that anywhere else until the next time they put it in the game. So it's definitely one way to encourage them to come up with some other mechanic of a similar nature to add something else to the game that you have to have the expansion to get. I mean, it's a different flavor of apple, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like you can look at it from the solar lunar augments, right? If you didn't buy MD at first, you wouldn't get access to it, but now you could get those Wayland quests, for example, that were free. And they also have some of them. I know Chill Ravenloft has more, so you have to buy that, but could be a thing of the future.
Yeah, possibly.
And some of these dark gifts are actually pretty underrated, so I think more people will be using them if they pay more attention to them. But
Yeah, I've been purposely taking different ones each time. Like I took the on a two-handed fighting melee, I took the one that gave you the extra range, and I actually found that to be really useful. And then this most recent life, I took the one that does the web-like CC on hits, but sometimes it slows you. And I found that one's actually really useful too. It's because it doesn't, when it does have the negative effect, it's not that often, and when it does happen, it's only for I think 3 seconds. So it's actually like I found that they really went conservative with the negatives. Like the negative, I haven't found too many of these that I've used so far where the negative really matters much. It's so minor.
And they've expressed that they would like to revisit Ravenloft again. Right, that's another thing that they have talked about. I think even Knockback mentioned it in the interview that
There's a lot of domains of dread.
yeah, and so I could see it. I haven't messed with them myself. Honestly, I haven't even really looked at them. But I'll probably mess around with it at some point.
I'll mess around when I remember to take the character that has actually completed the saga to go and turn it in, because I haven't been I haven't played Chill since I completed the saga, and then went around to open up all the landscape. But it was when the saga turn-in was still bugged. I haven't gone back since because I've been playing other things.
I do like that it gives you reasons to rerun the expansion, because you can get it, say you didn't do it in heroics and you get the legendary, you can do it once to get the heroic dark gift feat, and you can run it again to get the enhanced one, the legendary one, which you have to be level 30, by the way, for anyone listening doesn't know to get. And then maybe you run it a third time for the XP or whatever. So I mean, does give you a reason to run a lot, and you'll run the expansion a lot too because of all the, if you want to do the crafting with the ingredient drops and whatnot. So a lot of reasons to stay there.
Yeah, you can also bank the item so that when you TR, you can pick up the heroic as soon as you can get there instead of having to go through the saga again if you want the dark gift really early.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Yeah.
That's right. It gives a token to turn in, right?
Yeah. So you can save that item.
Yeah,
I think the real question is why do these saga givers trying to tempt us to the dark powers with these gifts?
I know,
like
right?
They're...
Where are they getting these offerings?
Yeah, exactly.
I want to hear the backstory on that.
Yep.
It would also be nice if those tokens, or whatever you want to call them, were not bound to characters, so that if you run the saga on one tune, you could pass it around.
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, well, is there anything else you guys want to say on the dark gifts? All right, well, let's get into, I thought we would talk about the loot before we dive into the quests. So the loot, for anyone listening, it's modeled after Dynabone Crafting. It's very similar. There's 4 ingredients in quests: bleak conductors, bleak insulators, bleak alternators, bleak resistors. There's 1 ingredient in the wilderness chest, bleak wires, and I think, as Dom was saying before, you can also get other ingredients. I'm not too familiar with what other ingredients are available in the wilderness, but there's an ingredient they can get in the purple boss rare encounters, and also presumably the raid whenever it comes out. There are 4 augment slots on loot that's very similar to the Dino stuff. So you have, instead of scale slots in Dino, you have melancholic. It's basically the same, similar, but much harder to pronounce words. You have scale instead of scale, you have melancholic. Instead of fang slots, you have dolorous. Instead of claw, you have miserable, and instead of horn slots, you have woeful. And the other big difference is you have sun and moon augment slots instead of set bonuses like you had in Dinobone crafting. And for me, it's just it's probably the most flexible loot I've ever seen them do. There's almost some of these items, it's almost comical. It's like there's one base, 1 to 2 actual effects on the item, and then like, here you go, here's 5 slots, do whatever you want, make your own item. Like that's the vibe I got from the loot was like, okay, we're gonna put like one thing on here maybe, and just let you can just make your own item with the rest of the slots. Basically, it's extremely flexible. So what do y'all think? Were you happy to see them bring back this kind of varied version of Donabone crafting, or were you hoping for something else, or what? Have you guys have you been farming any items in particular?
I think the most popular is the heart shard,
Is that
but
the HP trinket?
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's a must-have for most builds these days. But
Yeah.
like, I guess we can kind of get into it. But the rare loot system is pretty crap. But
Yeah, no, we can absolutely get into that, and your opinion on that and everyone else's opinion, because I know that's definitely
It's
I
not
kind of
ideal.
it's not ideal. Yeah, I kind of wanted to hear you all's opinions just on first before we get into that, just of like, were you happy to see Dinobone crafting come back, which is essentially what it is with some small changes? Because I think that system was really popular, and it's a great system. But I thought maybe it was a little bit too soon, because whenever we get legendary reincarnation, I don't know, we'll have just a few levels for our Dinobone stuff whenever we get to level 40. I thought maybe it was a little bit soon to bring it back, personally. Maybe in 2 years it would have been fine.
I
I'm
like it. Oh, good.
I was gonna say I like the flexibility. I'll be honest, I've only recently gotten into dino bone crafting. Um, I haven't explored a lot of that because I just haven't played at the level where I was going to be using that type of equipment. But as I played more, I've gotten to that point. I like seeing the flexibility. I think, and Dom could probably talk to this better than I can, but it seems like, if the loot and especially the augments are available at a decent enough pace, you can craft your sets and stuff and make Tetris a little bit easier than, you know, but I know with the way the loot tables have been since Mythranor that, it's not quite there. And I'd like to see it get there so I can craft some stuff that just makes it easier. So I'm not switching gears and having to figure out what set am I going to do now. Um, once I get to this level and all that stuff.
So this will be a little bit of hot take. I felt like it was copy paste, but it was half-assed. They didn't go back and fix the item level on a lot of these things. Like, we're getting downgrades on our profane DCs, for instance. Like Mitranor, we got +3. Now we're back to +2 because they copied Isle of Dread directly. Instead of going, oh, these are higher level items, we need to fix the amounts that were given on them. So that really frustrates me, that it's just not attention to the quality on it.
Wow, I didn't realize that the profanes are lower than
Yeah.
Mythranor. Wow, they didn't.
That's just one of the examples.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. They need to change that.
Right. So that's, there's little things like that it starts off good, but I wish they'd have added a few more things to it. Like, it'd been cool to see like Sacred or Hallowed for turning clerics, for instance, or a little bit of extra things, since they're just kind of reusing a lot of, Isle of Dread there, expanded a little bit.
I'm trying to think of, were there many new effects? Because I don't remember any new effects.
No,
personally.
nothing new.
Because I know when it came out in Lamania, I went through the item list, and it's been a while ago, so I'm going off memory, but I don't remember. I remember looking through it at the time and not seeing any new effects. Like
Yeah, it was
nothing
copy
cool.
paste.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem. But we can get into the rare stuff now. I know Dom, you brought that up. They did start the, or they did continue despite obviously players hating it. You know, overall, not every single player, but the vast majority of players really don't like the rare loot system, which is certain quests will have two loot tables, a basic named rare table, and then there'll be a small chance that if you hit the name table, you then get to the rare table, and that results in very very low drop rates for certain items. So yeah, what are your all's thoughts about them continuing the rare loot system in this expansion, despite players clearly hating it?
I just feel if it's rare loot, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's no reason to try to build a gear set around it, in my opinion. It's so impossible to get.
Yeah, I'll probably do the same with and just ignore it for the most part. That's what I did with Mithranor. I was going to do a heroic gear set for Mithranor before it came out, and then when I saw the rare loot stuff, I'm like, oh, I'll just stick with Sharn stuff, and it'll be fine from 15 to 20. And go
Yeah, I
ahead,
think
Dom.
there's different like pros and cons about it, I guess. Like in this case, the rare items aren't necessarily like make or break, where if you don't have it, it's not gonna hinder your build, let's say. Compared to MD, where like there is substantial upgrades by getting the rare items. But the other thing too that I don't think they've ever thought of is that like their lack of ability to address issues on these items is it's really bad to release rare items when you're not going to be able to do that, because going back to MD, something like the helmets, for example, the Crown of Summer effect wasn't working on one of the helmets, and it took players, I don't know, let's say 4 months to find the item and then realize the item's not working properly. Then they have to go back and make a patch for it, which they still haven't done. So that's just kind of like, I guess, a QA fault, but it looks really bad on their end.
Yeah, and you get items that you upgrade out of Mithranor, and they go backwards on their bonuses.
Yeah, like the Warblade going from a sacred, or sorry, Artblade from a sacred DC of +3 to a +2 when you upgrade it.
Yeah.
Sardonic in chat says there are new effects you can craft with the Chill of Ravenloft crafting that weren't available with Dynamo crafting. Okay, is that true? Maybe that's true. Okay, if we missed something, then apologies. But I don't recall that being true, but I might have missed something. I don't know.
Yeah, same.
Tell us more, Sardonic Fox in chat.
Yeah, I with the rare loot stuff, guys, I just I don't know. I guess it's just money reasons why they're continuing. I just don't see any other reason. They must just do it for the shard rerolls because players hate it. I just don't. I don't see any other reason why they continue it. I mean, I guess they want to make the content more
It makes it
have more
evergreen.
life, I guess. But at least this time, it seems like Dom was saying, at least the essential stuff. I mean, what really got me last time is they would include essential things that were in previous set bonuses, like artifact to fortification bypass. Like that was a rare augment in Mithranor for some reason. I'm like, why is that a rare item? That's like an essential effect that was on the freaking Sharn part of the family set years and years ago. So, but if that's not the case this time, and I haven't looked too deep into the loot, I just haven't gotten there yet. But it seems like it's not as egregious this time, so that's good.
I think everything is they're moving everything to try to make it evergreen because, I mean, even like the regular loot, you got to farm for your I'll say dino bones. You got to farm for the mats. You got to farm for your solar lunar augments. Then you got to farm up if you want other augments in them. Like, it's making the gear stretch as opposed to finding the piece you need and it combines in the set and you're done type thing. So it makes the content more evergreen.
Yeah. Okay, well, anything else?
I'm
go ahead.
I'm one of those people that I don't engage with the loot that much. I'll be quite honest. The number one reason why I engage with loot in Mithranor is because the midnight / moonlight sets were my favorite colors. See behind me. And beyond that, I really didn't care. I don't play at this sort of level to where that piece of loot on that. I'm going to get the Warblade one of these days because I must have that cosmetic. The actual effects of the Warblade, don't care because it doesn't affect me. However, I will understand that it affects a bunch of people. It also doesn't affect a bunch of people, and they're not complaining about it because it doesn't affect them. Again, it's the whole you only hear about the people who hate from the people who hate it. You're not really hearing from the people who don't give a flying flip because it doesn't affect them. And it's not part of what they, where they are and what how they're playing the game. Um, and so it's not saying that, oh my god, this is not a thing. It is totally absolutely a thing. But I think on some level we're still not acknowledging the fact that there are a lot of people who don't engage with the system that way, and they don't really have an opinion. I mean, it's nice. I almost vendored the one that got last night because the one thing I was going to complain about is the fact that it had a normal icon. I had, unless I had been paying close attention to the name in the loot drop, I'd have been like, oh, okay, whatever. Um, but beyond that, I'm not going to use it because it dropped on a paladin, and it was the art blade item. So it's like, well, this is not for this character, this build. Okay, it's going in the bank until whenever. So I think there's again, not to be in any way disrespectful or dismissive of the folks who are really upset about this for very valid reasons, but I think there's still a lack of acknowledgement of a lot of people who just don't care because it's not part of their gameplay.
Yeah, well, I'd say if it doesn't affect them, it's not going to affect them whether it's rare or not rare. So let's just not make it rare. Let's just not make the game more annoying to players who do want to optimize. And for a lot of
All right.
players, I mean, that really, really matters because that's the game to them, right? Character progression and optimization of your character is what they play for. And obviously, I mean, not everyone plays that way. I mean, some people are more casual than others, and that's totally fine. Each play style is absolutely legitimate, 100%. It's just different preferences. But you're right, it's going to affect certain players. But I just think we could, if they didn't have the rare, right, it wouldn't negatively affect anyone because even if it doesn't affect you, it being rare, it doesn't help you either. It doesn't like since it doesn't help you either. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I would like to see them go away from this.
I'm
You know,
I'm s- sorry, Dom.
no, no, go ahead.
I'm still two expansions behind. I've just started doing my Vecna gear, right? So, I haven't engaged, like Druidsfire said, I haven't really engaged in, trying to search out items. Sure, I'll run Myth Draenor, and if I get items, great. It's like I have a whole bag full of Sun and Moon augments when I pull them. Not rare ones, but just the random augments that I haven't slotted into anything because I haven't really found much that want to use. So there will be a time when I start getting to that point where I'll start using it. But I just haven't gotten there in my play progression yet to utilize that type of stuff. So I haven't really searched it out or, engaged with it much.
Yeah, go ahead, Dom. I think you were gonna jump in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, even for the rare items, again, like you may not be looking for it, but even if you stumble upon it and you end up using it 3 lives from now, like going back to the part where there are broken pieces or broken effects on some of the items, like that would probably frustrate you seeing those when you finally get it, go around to use it, and half your items not working properly. So just get rid of that system. Doesn't help anybody except their bottom line, I guess. If people are buying shards and points.
Yeah.
Then again, I also don't reroll chests except by accident. Like I accidentally rerolled my silver roll this morning because I hit the button and didn't realize I'd rolled it last night. So yeah, I'm not on that level, but it's still a perspective, a different one. So
Yeah, I was just trying to wonder like why would they continue this system when everyone hates it? I don't want to be cynical, but I just don't see any other reason really other than because of shard rerolls. I don't know any other reason why because I've not heard I've heard from actually maybe one player who likes this system, the rare system, and that's
Well,
it.
Severlin did mention at one point it was to keep the content longer. That
Yeah.
there was people that go in the first week. They'd get everything they wanted in the expansion, and then we're done.
And I think rare loot is cool. Like I think in some circumstances, like the Gibbers Blade, I think is totally legit and really cool to have that as a rare item because this is a unique special effect. That's powerful and it's fun to like replay it and hunt that. But I think the issue with I know with Mythranor is that they put so much loot as rare. I just wish loot would be more of like a rare loot would be limited to say like 5 or less items in total in the whole
I would go with
expansion.
that. Yeah.
I think it would be a
'Cause
better system because then it wouldn't be anything, and it shouldn't be like an essential part of any gear sets. And it seems like they have improved this time around on that. But yeah, I just think less rare loot, but the rare loot that does exist being super special, like the Gibber Blade or something, is a better
Well,
way to go.
I think if they're going to add rare loot, it'd be good to have it on the raid table for purchase, so you could eventually get it if you couldn't get it from the regular quest. Not put it as a drop in the raid, but have it as the raid token purchasable.
And I like when they also do rare loot that's more cosmetic focused, like the fish swords and the Vecna what is the Vecna
Cooking
adventure pack
quest.
called? Yeah, the
Yeah,
Too Many Cooks, I think it's called.
yeah.
The fish swords, like that's a rare
oh
drop, but
yeah.
it's a good item too and a good set, but it's mostly people want it for the cosmetic. So I think I would love to see more like rare cosmetics or other rare, I don't know, weapon auras or things that are not essential or even power related at all. Would be cool and a better way to go because I think people would hunt for that as well. Like if you put, what if they put a cosmetic that made you look like one of those banshee monsters we were talking about earlier, and they put it as like a point, like one in a 500,000 chests, you get it. I think people would
Oh,
grind for that.
imagine what would happen if you could get a glamour that made you look like a kobold. They would be rolling so many
Yeah.
shards.
How cool
It's
would it
the
be
WoW.
if you didn't know about it and all of a sudden you just get really lucky and you pick it up and then you put it on, you're like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. I think that would be better than say putting like power related effects that you need to
Well,
get.
here's the thing. DDO is a unique little monster in how it handles the rare loot and power in rare loot and how you build a character. To compare apples to oranges, World of Warcraft has its super rare items, and none of them are really super really required. They just add a little bit more power, but you can get along with your mythic level build without it. It's just you really want this to be the best of the best of the best with honor, sir. Um, but in general terms, their super rare loot tables on a raid boss is like 4 or 5 items. And so I can see that being a way they can go to ease the rare loot
Hmm.
because yeah, they had too many things were listed as rare, and again, you never see them unless you're insanely lucky. Um, one to go back to no rare loot in the wilderness chest in Chill. Not happy with that. On the other hand, I've got 5 billion fallen age items in my inventory from Mithranor. On the other hand, I also managed to loot three golden age weapons out of wilderness chests. So that would be kind of nice to have. But sadly, they didn't go that way with Chill.
One thing for me is I would like to see them decouple the augments from the rare table
Yes,
along
everyone.
with
Yes,
the
please.
loot,
Or just
right?
have two chests. Yeah, have like two chests in a
Yeah.
request. One be augment name chest, and one be like regular
I,
chest.
yeah, I think that has created one of the bigger issues when you have you got to get the item, which is already tough to get, and then you have to get the rare augment to put into that rare item. And I think that's one of, at least for me, I think that's something that, just decouple it and have them separate and, make it a little bit easier to get some of that stuff.
And
And have the main loot chest be the one that has the named item. And then if you do the optionals and the second chest spawns because you did all the optionals, then that's where your augments fall in.
and to their
That would be a
credit,
good way to encourage
you can
optionals.
now get the augments in the optional chests, correct? I believe so. So that's a big improvement for Myth Noir. I like that optionals are worth doing. The other thing I'll say is I'm glad you brought this up because it reminded me of there's some augments like what are they doing with the skill augments? Like one is
Yeah.
like plus to swim and jump, I think, and it's just no one's ever gonna use those
Cordovan
augments.
would use them.
Like it makes zero sense to ever use your sun or
I'm
moon
gonna
swap for
totally
that.
blame Cord on that one.
Like, what do they do? Why would they do that? Is it just
Yeah.
because a lot of players see that and they just think that, oh, the devs are just doing that to water down the loot tables so that people have to re-roll more? That's what it. I'm not saying that's what the devs did, but that's how it comes off to a lot of players because some of those skill augments, most of them are just like those just shouldn't be in the game. They're so useless and just bloat.
They're for that niche swim cleric build that somebody built.
But here's the thing: why would you ever need an artifact bonus to jump? Jump is capped at 40. It makes no sense. Like, why is that in the game? I don't I don't get it.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
removed the divination DC during the Lamb preview because we were like, hey, this thing's totally freaking useless, right? And we just couldn't convince them on the skill augments.
They're situational at best.
Yeah,
Like I can maybe understand the trapping ones or something like that, but yeah, jump, like heal, you don't really need those.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I could think of is maybe you could use them in a swap item, put a bunch of skill augments in a swap item. I guess, but then again, some of them are still like you don't need artifact to jump in legendaries. You're gonna hit 40 jump, zero problems. Well before then. So
only thing I can think of is maybe they're looking at higher level skill checks for stuff, and
yeah, well, some are useful, like intimidate. Like if you're running a barbarian or ravager barbarian or whatever, that's great. But for the most part, eh. Okay, well, is there anything else? Oh, the other thing I wanted to say with the rare loot is, I would have liked to see another direction they could have taken it. And I think would have frustrated players less is if all the rare loot also had a common version in the regular chest, just make the rare version the same exact item but slightly better, like an extra 2% double strike or fort bypass or whatever on the rare version. I would have loved to see that more than having rare unique augments or items. I'm sorry.
You mean like going back to kind of like the normal hard elite stuff that we had from
Yeah, sort of, but
Evening Star?
yeah, sort of, but you have a rare version and a normal version. Yeah, except it wouldn't have a different minimum level or anything like that.
Just
'Cause-
don't make them bind a character for the love
and
of
yeah,
God.
don't make it
yeah,
onto character. Kind of like to do with even with like Golden Age and Fallen Age, right? It's the same sort of thing. The Golden Age is pretty much the Fallen Age, but a little bit better. But I would rather have that than all these like augments we don't want. Um, let's see. I'm going through the comments. A bunch of comments are coming in. Yeah, Waisakai mentioned haggle and perform augment. Let's see. Okay. Well, is there anything else you guys want to say on loot before we move on to the quests?
I guess it's more quest situational, but having the end chest next to the exit portals is kind of annoying.
oh, yes,
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, yeah. They still haven't moved the Von 5 to Von 6 chest. It's still sitting there. How many years later? 15 years later, it's still sitting on the entrance. I wish they could move that one forward. I know that's not related to the expansion, obviously, but that's just the first thing that came to mind. Anyways, devs, if you're listening, go to Von 5, move that chest like, I don't know, 4 or 5 character lengths back. Okay, well, let's pop into the quests. Let's talk about those. So I'm going to go through these in story order. So let's start with the first one, which is the body snatchers, which you have to enter from either, I believe it's either Evening Star or House Jarasco. There might be one other entrance that I'm missing. I'm not sure, but you enter it from there, and you actually must complete this quest before you can get into the wilderness area. So they actually, in effect, did bring back flagging for this expansion because you have to run this quest before you can get to, presumably even to the raid, or to any of the other quests. So I wasn't a big fan of that, but I guess it makes sense for story reasons, like kind of Into the Mist. It's that way for Ravenloft because you enter from the mist. So I get it, but it's just something I thought I should note. But anyways, in Body Snatchers, this quest, the story kind of introduces the Deadmongers, and you kind of find out that they're stealing bodies. You don't know why they're stealing dead bodies, and you kind of go through the quest. You fight the gang, and not too much to say really about this one. There's a tile puzzle at the end. It's fairly short. There's some indoor and outdoor sections. I like some of the brick textures on the buildings. And I like any of these quests where you go indoors and then outdoors. I wish there was more. I really like the outdoor sections. I'd say on a lot of these, really all the quests in the expansion, I would love to see even more like open outdoor sections. But any thoughts on the first quest, the Body Snatchers?
Move the chest, first of all. That's one that's even worse than Vaughn 5-6 because you can accidentally exit without being prompted trying to loot that chest.
What it sounds like I'm hearing is that DDO really needs to steal WoW's notion of if you forget to loot the boss, that it mails you the stuff that you missed.
Does it really do that in WoW?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's really cool, but they of course don't have a re-rolling mechanic like DDO does, and whatevs.
There's a cool optional in this one. A couple of them.
Yeah, go ahead and mention them because I don't recall.
Yeah, there's one where you're asked to go get a cookbook from a place, and then there's I think it's a cannibal family. I forget.
Yeah, I can't remember.
You go in, yeah, the family's all dead, and like the floor falls out. There's someone dead there. I think that's where you first run into the poltergeist. Actually, are the poltergeist?
I hate those poltergeists.
Yeah, the throwing plates. Actually, it looks like it's for
yeah.
Peter crossbows because it shoots
we
like
talk about
3
those?
plates at a time.
I believe that is in this quest, yeah.
Like getting hit by comet, whatever.
And I will say I have kind of a problem with this expansion. It's really easy for me in my mind to mix up what's where in the different quests. I think it's because a lot of them are kind of indoors and in sort of similar situations. But
that would be like my biggest complaint overall about the quests is there's not a lot of, other than when you get to like the Schloss Arbrecher's place or the castle or Mordenheim's place. A lot of it just feels the same, and there's not a whole lot of differentiation. But this first quest, it's fine. It's a simple, introductory quest with optionals, not much different than Into the Mists. There are optionals in Into the Mists that nobody ever does.
I do them.
Yeah, well, most people don't ever do. And so I think it's fine. It's not very long. It kind of gives you a general sense of what to expect, or at least a starting point.
Yeah, it sets up the atmosphere well for the remaining quests. I think that's mostly the point of it.
Yep. Yeah, and it kind of gives you the intro to the storyline of, what's going on with all these dead bodies?
It made more sense than the introductory quest to the Lantern event.
Yeah,
Why am I hyped for the
still
battle?
no word on that. I wonder what they're gonna do. There's gonna be another event like that this year.
Well, we know there's the Fae event.
Yep.
Toward the end of the year, but whether that's gonna get delayed because of the lag monster, no idea.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering because I mean we're mid-September already. We're gonna be in 2026 here in what, 2.5 months, 3.5
Rebels
months.
in a few weeks.
Yep.
It's time for Halloween.
I know. Okay, well, I guess we'll move on now to the second quest, Beneath the City Streets. So in this one, we get some information on where the Deadmonger gang is. We found out they gather at a graveyard. So you go into this quest, you start at a graveyard, and then the rest of the quest takes place underground, where you're finding out it's where the Deadmongers are basically stationed. Let's see. So we go through. We have a leader called Uthred the Pick, who uses a pick, and I don't know too much to say in this quest. One thing that stood out to me is there's a section of this quest with there's like a square electric trap area, and I don't know what that was there for because I couldn't find out. I mean, I wasn't running as a trapper, so maybe there's some way to disable it, but I couldn't find a way to disable it or anything to interact. So I didn't really understand why that was there, what I was supposed to do. Did you? I didn't know if you all figured out something with that. But that's
You're
one
talking
thing.
that room on the left when you first come in.
Yeah, there's like a just electricity on the floor, and you
Yeah.
see a machine, but there's nothing like I couldn't find a way to disable it, or if it was
There's nothing.
if
To my
there's some,
knowledge.
yeah, I was just confused as to why that's there. There's also a room with like a shrine and a deep swim area where you swim really below. And I was on a trapper with a good search, so I don't know if there was a hidden door down there, but it was just a collectible. I was like, oh no, this would have been a cool place. You could have had like an underwater, optional or something. But I think it was mostly just a little,
One collectible,
yeah, one collectible. Yeah,
and it's way down.
yeah, that's a situation. I would love to see them flesh that out a little bit more. I maybe unpopular opinion, but I would like to see more swim sections in DDO. I'm not saying I want a lot of them. We'd never get them anymore, and I would love to see some more like swim areas, like maybe like an underwater maze or some underwater traps you have to avoid for an optional, something like that. I think would be cool. Um, but yeah,
You get out of the water and then you have to platform, right, Axel?
yeah, all right. And I'll say this every single time. Like I want to see a actual challenging platforming optional in a quest, sort of like we have in the Snow Peaks event with the challenge climb. I'd love to see something like that in a
Oof.
quest as an optional, so you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I would like to see that as an optional.
I do the optionals.
Yep.
I'm going to. Oh my gosh, I lost my. I'm kind of thinking with the room with the shrine and the deep swim area that there's nothing there. I wonder if this is something that there was supposed to be something there, but it got cut for time because we do know they've talked about the fact that, for example, the Vistani, um, uh, the wagons outside in the wilderness is, and Knockback mentioned this. Sorry, spoilers. In his interview with Troy, is that there was going to be something there,
Hmm.
and that's actually to do a little bit of a digression here. Is why the heck did we get Dump here and there were no freaking vampires in the entire expansion except for one? Like, there's none. It's like, why was Dump here? Dump here would have been a better option for a race for OG Ravenloft, not for this. It didn't really seem to fit.
I thought
So,
somewhere,
so I'm thinking maybe something got cut in this quest. It makes sense to me.
maybe someone in chat can clarify. I thought there was Dampier in at least a couple of the quests as just regular mobs.
There was one I distinctly remember, like an optional side boss,
Vampire. Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't recall seeing any others.
You know, it just felt like they needed something here, so they just chose Dampier.
Yeah, like it didn't play any differently from I can remember from just a normal humanoid, but I did happen to see on top of its head it said Dampier something, at least in one of the quests.
Yeah, there was just like one dude, like, we're working with so and so about such and such, and it was like a blip, and then nothing, no fangs for the rest of the quest, for the rest of the expansion.
Well,
One thing that
oh, go ahead.
one thing that bugs me about this quest, and it bugs me about a lot of the quests, is they have so much underground infrastructure in this place. It's unreal. Like, this place is way overbuilt underground. I would have loved to have seen an outdoor, quote unquote, area where you're going to warehouses where these guys are holding up, as opposed to they've got millions of miles of underground tunnels. Like, that was just like a little off-putting to the area to me. Like, we have all these warehouses, all this extra building outside, right? It would have made more sense for them to have wagons to bodies in there instead of getting wagons underground to move bodies.
Yeah.
It just, that bugs me a little bit about this expansion.
I just would have liked to see more quests in general that were just open, because this whole expansion feels so closed off. Like every quest is like
Tunnels.
hallways and small rooms. We don't get any
Really nice
like
wallpaper.
like yeah, like we don't get any big outdoor areas. like we have in so many other quests in DDO.
Yeah, I
And
felt like this could have been a good one for that.
There's
Go
some
ahead.
outdoor areas, but not most of it.
and the other thing is if you are looking at, Industrial Revolution period, Eastern European countries that are jam packed with buildings and narrow alleyways and stuff. I mean, this it kind of fits that vibe. But yeah, I get it. I would like to have seen, a little bit more outdoors instead of, going through every building.
I mean, we had a mine, so there's your underground right there, and having one of the two villains having an underground lair, yeah, that makes sense. Um, but I think maybe having both of them have an underground lair seemed kind of weird, especially since Schloss Mordenheim was off under an island, so you got to think of flooding. Um, unless you got the local version of Isabel Kingdom Brunel to do some tunnels for you. But yeah, I think they could have done some more with the interiors of the wilderness buildings because yeah. Then again, you get into okay, what kind of machinery is going to be in there? How's it going to work with the fights? Are people going to get stuck on things? Is somebody's hand going to get caught into the machinery? I don't know.
Okay, well, anything else on this quest? We'll move on to the next one. If not, all right. So quest number 3 is special delivery. So in this quest, we go to a university because somebody's delivering dead bodies. We want to figure out what's going on there with the dead bodies. Not a whole lot to say on this one either. So we go to the Institute of Revivification Studies, and there's some tile puzzles. There's an infight where we have one large 4-rune tile puzzle, and then we have an infight where you kind of have to defeat the director, but also trash all the items there in the room, which are breakable objects. So, any thoughts on this one, y'all?
I like there's 2 ways to get in. That was cool.
It's there? I didn't realize that.
You could hide in the coffins. They'll deliver you inside instead of having to fight your way in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I remember now. Yeah, I've done it both ways. Gotcha. Yep.
Straightforward, simple, nothing complex about the quest. It's just your typical, work your way through the rooms, get to the end boss, kill the end boss, break some stuff, and loot.
Yeah, overall, I mean, this has the vampire option we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a couple other optionals. The puzzles are good, a little bit different.
Don't.
Yeah, God Valari's been doing a really good job with the puzzles lately, so I've been enjoying them.
Yeah, it hasn't been too much repeat of like one quest where you're collecting 18 crests, just run to the end fight or anything. Like you can kind of get a mix of everything.
I think they got the memo in the crests because there's not any crests in this expansion. So
I did
good.
like how they repurposed the statues pointing at the next statue from the House of Song, Magma's quest in Myth Draenor, and using the appropriate chill Ravenlofty sort of structures for that. Once I figured that out, it's like, oh, the light. Okay, now I know what to do. And so you just use the same trick that Axel taught me. Hey, I keep doing the shout out every time I do that class. I'm like, yeah, Axel taught me how to do this. It's same trick, but different wallpaper, as it were, and it worked perfectly fine for me. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, I was really glad to see them bring the statue puzzles back because those only existed in one quest, and meanwhile there's okay. I will say I really like those. I'm still not happy with them putting a bunch of tile puzzles in here. It's kind of my stickler. I can't stand like how often they reuse tile puzzles, but the statue puzzles was great. I'm glad those are back in the form of I don't even know what those devices are called, but those devices that shoot the electricity. That was nice.
The only reason I really hate tile puzzles is that they don't let you turn either direction. Especially, you got one, you have to click it 3 times to get it back to where you need it to go. Gets a little frustrating as if you just had like an alternate click to turn it backwards one.
They
would be
did that with
very
the mirror
nice.
puzzles. I wonder if they could do that with the tile puzzles where you hold shift and then click on them, because they did make that change with mirror puzzles. That'd be a good change. Um, oh, the only other thing I'll say about this quest is make sure you destroy the breakables at the end. Don't recall after you kill the boss, because it doesn't complete until you destroy the breakables. That is part of the story. You have to trash the lab.
I'm all for breakables. I love breaking the breakables, and I will, yes, indeed, stand next to an explosive barrel and let it hit me because breakables are my life.
And hopefully one day they use the statue puzzle, because I like this when it felt like you were setting up a pentagram initially as you were running across. It'd be kind of cool if they had like a summoning altar type thing one day when you do the puzzle when you're not supposed to, and set up a pentagram and summon a demon or something.
All right. Anything else in this quest, guys, before we go to the next one? All right, quest 4 is the proper authorities. In this one, we go to a party that the Baron von Aubrecker, is leading, who we find out he's the leader of Lamortia, by the way. But we go to his party and we go there kind of to tell him what's going on with the dead bodies and the farming of those and the creation of the servitors at the university. So we're like going there to try to get his help. But then when we find out that he's in cahoots with Victra. But in this one, we go to his party and we end up actually at one point falling through a trap door. And then that leads us into an underground section. This underground section you revisit in a quest we'll talk about in a minute called Ends and Means. But there's the things that stand out for me in this quest. There's a rune/tile puzzle where you kind of have to solve the tile puzzle in the correct way in order to light the runes over the lever, and then you pull the lever to access the rest of the quest. And in this quest, you do have the the statue puzzle from Myth Janor reskinned, kind of brought back, which is good. One thing I noticed is they reference in some of the dialogue a Brothers Grimm story called The Mouse, the Bird, and the Sausage, which when I saw that, I actually pulled out my Brothers Grimm book and read through it on stream. But
Well, it's also the first instance of the Brother Grimm NPC upstairs.
yeah. So the one mechanic I will say that's I think is a bit controversial, but it makes sense for story reasons, is you do have a gather point before you drop down to the underground section. So you have to have everyone in your party go to the little circle. But those are things that stood out for me with this one. Any thoughts on this one, y'all?
I think on this one and some others in this chain, and I guess in general, like the captive dialogues are so long, and it's just kind of annoying. You just sit there and wait around for all this dialogue. I guess if you like the storyline, it's fine, but if you're just
Yeah,
trying to rush through it or play through it at a normal speed, then it just gets kind of annoying and tedious.
it
And
does.
the
Like,
gather points kind of suck.
yeah, it's the having to wait through the dialogue. I know it really annoys certain players for good reason. I totally get that. Because the story's great the first time, but when you're playing the quest for the 20th time, it's like, okay, let us just skip this.
Yeah, and especially if you're going for XP per minute, that's killing your XP per
Yeah,
minute.
your XP pot is ticking down. I know there's a few other situations like the Wish, the next quest we'll talk about, has that at the end where you have to wait for the cutscene for the quest to finish. So yeah, I wish the devs would rework these so that you don't have to let the cutscene play, but let you continue to advance through the dungeon or recall out like at the end of the Wish. Even if you want to listen to the dialogue, you can stay and listen. If you don't want to, you can leave. But let's not force us to just sit there. I mean, some of these, at least it's not as bad as say like Just Business and Sharn or something, where at the beginning it's like that quest. It's basically I just consider that break time. Like it just you go there and then you get up, you go get your coffee or whatever, and you come back and it's still probably not done. But nothing as egregious as that, at least in the new expansion. But there's certainly sections where you have to wait like 20, 30, 40 seconds on the dialogue.
Maybe they can borrow a mechanic from Lotro that they've done to shortcut certain lengthy questions. And WoW does this as well. It's like, skip this, I've been there, done this, let's move on. You just click the thing and it lets you skip past it, and then you go on to your next thing. That would be a cool bit of tech they could import into DDO.
I mean, they've already done it, right? Small problem. You can now choose to skip the cutscene.
Yeah, and
I
what
brought
is it, Amber
those.
Temple? You can as well.
Yep.
So yeah, more of that.
Yeah. A couple
It,
things here. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say this quest does have uh, one of the more interesting Easter eggs with regards to the actual story behind
Like Geneva.
uh, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yep.
When you
Yeah, I
go to
really
that,
enjoyed that.
yeah, when you go to the side room and you see that conversation between the five people that are sitting there talking, if you listen to or you click on them, whatever, to see what they have to say, it is an actual real life event that they're recapturing in the game about how the Frankenstein story actually, started. What the discussions were around that. As I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the names match. You got Lord Byron, Mary Shelley,
Mm.
Percy. Can't remember the other ones, but it matches exactly to the Lake Geneva.
Mm.
Lord Byron had a lot to answer for.
Yeah, I've been thinking lately. I need to go read. I've watched the original Frankenstein movie in preparation for this expansion, so I'd never seen it. But I need to read the novel as well. I've never read it. I would like to read it so I get all the little more of the references and stuff.
Well, and this was actually how she came up with it when she was in the castle with them in Lake Geneva over that cold winter. I will say on heroic, this quest can be overly difficult if you don't have resist energy. The alchemist, because you can end up with like 6 different dots going at once when you get into the basement. So this one a little frustrating at lower difficulty or lower levels. At higher difficulties, you can die pretty quick. It's one thing. Those alchemists can rip you apart pretty fast.
Well, anything else on this quest? All right, the next one, number 5, is the Wish. And in this quest, we go to a snowy mountain to figure out why Victra was there. And it's presumably where she got her dark gift, and we hear all about that in the cutscenes. And we also find out that this dark gift kind of has the side effect of the weather that is going on in Lamortia. So this quest is it's pretty linear until the end. You have some very like minor, easy like platforming there in the center. At the end, one thing that's probably the most similar to a maze in this expansion is at the end you have the very foggy section where it's actually a lot easier to see if you turn off post-processing effects. But it's almost like a maze. You got to find the different levers that are hidden at the end there. They are on different breaching paths, and I found myself getting a little lost there. But then you when you find the levers, you go forward. There's some golems to fight. Then you have the end cutscene, which has the issue, as we mentioned before, of where you have to wait for the cutscene to finish before the quest finishes. I actually timed it. It's 40 seconds or about 40 seconds cutscene you have to wait through. But any thoughts on this one? I like the snowy like atmosphere. I would love to see more like cold areas and actually more desert like areas as well in DDO in general. But I like some of the outdoor sections. I wish we had more outdoor open sections in this expansion. I would love to see something I think the expansion is too closed in. I would love to see more quests like Gwyland's Stand or something where it's just totally open. That's the one thing I would have loved to see. But anything anything you all want to say on this one? It looks like chat is not a fan of the Wish. I see a couple comments in chat saying the Wish is worse than Just Business and the Wish is the worst. I don't know. Just Business is definitely longer, I think, than in terms of cutscenes you have to sit through. If that's what you're referencing, Corche.
Feels like
Hey,
there's either. Oh, good.
no, go ahead.
Feels like there's a secret or cut content at the platforming section, and I haven't figured out if there's a secret there yet or not. I mentioned you have like a very like 2-second cutscene of Victra, and it's like, oh, we wonder what she found here, type thing, and then there's like it just kind of seems a dead end there, and I don't know what that's supposed to be about.
Okay, so chat is saying that if you combine all the cutscenes in the Wish, it's like a minute and a half. I didn't think that I thought the end one. Do you have to sit through the other ones though? I thought it's only the end one you have to sit. Oh, you do have to sit through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, all 4 of them.
Oh, really?
The,
Okay.
the
Well,
last one's only
okay.
like 15, 20 seconds, but
Okay, I stand corrected then. If it is that long combined, then okay.
if you're running on a low difficulty or like you have a good group, whatever, you can like rush ahead to those cutscenes and let them play through while you're killing mobs that are falling behind. But I mean, like in R10, that's not always ideal, depending on your group, or if you get a red alert, you might not be able to handle it, depending on your build. So,
That
not the
must
best
be.
solutions, but
That's probably what I ran into. I think I was still fighting stuff as the cutscene was playing, so I didn't notice. Because I've done that quest, I think 6 times. I really only noticed it at the end.
And they did a good
I
job with. Oh, good.
I was gonna say I personally didn't like the area where you had to go almost maze-like and try to figure out. I got turned around so many times in there trying to figure out where the heck I am. Uh, And I'm guessing that there's random placement of the levers, or are they always in the same spot?
I
Because
think they are fixed.
there were some walls that were blank where
Mhm.
you would think a lever might be there. And so I've only run it once, so I wasn't sure if there was random placement of those levers or not.
They're set.
And I think they make the map bad on purpose to make it sort of like a maze. Like they're not going to show you all the paths in detail, which and also, I mean, clearly that's what they're going for because they make it really foggy as well, so you can't see super well either. So it's sort of like a maze, but I don't know.
One of the things I actually kind of appreciated about it was the claustrophobic effect because the maze tunnels were so closed in. Because we're used to, like, you know, like in the previous quest, um, in the basement under Schloss Albrecher, is that there's these ginormous, caves that, how did they get those carved out? But the ones in the Wish were like super duper close. And so I was kind of feeling a little bit more oppressed by how small things were. I'm like, how is the owlbear going to get down here? Thankfully, I wasn't running with the owlbear, but still, I could imagine that big old fuzzy butt getting stuck somewhere. And I thought that was kind of cool.
So Sakai in chat says that the levers are not set. He says they're semi-random. Okay, so I don't know. I'm hearing
I don't
different
know.
things. I haven't noticed any randomization, but maybe there's some. I don't know.
there's like 3 or 4 set spawn points, but it can rotate between those 4 points. Like 3 of the 4 will have one.
Oh, okay.
I guess I got lucky on my times. Seemed like they were always the same. The one thing I wish they had done with this was, so you've proven your worth to the Dark Powers, right? That's the whole point of this quest, to climb up there and fall on her path where she found herself worthy to get the gift from the Dark Powers. I wish this is where you had got the Dark Gift from. I understand why they put the altar in
Hmm.
the wilderness, but this would have made so much more sense of you climbing up here just like she did and then taking the Dark Bargain.
Yeah, I agree. Now that you mention it, yeah, why are we getting our dark gift from this altar and not from the same place that Victor got hers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it probably, I guess, practical concerns. Maybe they could have put, because I'm trying to think, where is this quest in the wilderness? Is it near is it on
It's
the
right
other side?
above it.
Is it near the altar?
Yeah, the
Okay.
altar's right below the quest on the
Yeah.
mountainside there. So I mean, I get why they did it, but man, it'd been cool to go all the way up there and then make your pact.
Maybe they could have
Could
had
be
a
something they add as an
multi-select.
option,
Maybe they could have
where like you can get it from
multi-selected.
the quest, but then also have the altar in the wilderness, so you don't have to run the quest to get it every time.
Yeah, or maybe they could have a multi-selector where you go to the entrance for the quest and you can select to do the quest or select the altar, and then the second option will just kind of put you at the end. It'll spawn you at the end, so at least you're in the same location without having to run the quest. Because I understand why it would be annoying if it was only at the end of the quest and you had to run the quest though, again to get the dark gift.
Yep. And they did a good job with the symbolism there at the end, where both Victor and her lover lose their heart with that pact. Hers freezes over effectively, and then obviously the other one gets fully replaced.
Yeah. Well, anything else on this quest before we move on to the next one? Okay, quest 6 is ends and means. So in this quest, we go to a cave. We have to find the Baron and kind of seek him out. This is the quest that revisits the underground part of the map of proper authorities. And then we have the same as well, the same kind of rune tile puzzle with the lever to bring down the barrier, but this time the solution is different. You kind of have to run the puzzle in a different order. And then at the end of this quest, you have the fight with the Baron, who it turns out he's in the form of a brain in the jar. And it's in this end fight, he kind of moves the brain in the jar moves as the head, it moves to different bodies as you progress through the end fight. So any thoughts on this one? I thought that on higher skull, when we did it on R6, I guess that's not high skulls, that's mid skulls, but it was a pretty challenging fight, in fight on R6 for my group. I don't know how hard it would be on Dom. Have you done it on R10 or anything? Like, is it really difficult on R10 than other encounters?
I guess it depends on the group. Like, we were doing it the other day with just 3 of us, but the builds we were on had like a bit of dodge, so that kind of helps. And obviously having heals is pretty big, but
Did it feel any more difficult than the other infights in the chain,
um,
or about the same?
I would say like yes and no. Like yes, in the sense that you have to fight 3 bosses and 2 or 1, but in terms of like difficulty wise, not really. More just like quantity rather than quality.
Well, and after years, they finally fixed Ego Whip, which really helps in some of these with the brains in the jar.
What is that? I'm not familiar with that. What is
So
Ego
they
Whip?
made a change 2 patches back with Ego Whip, so you don't take hundreds of charisma damage on a successful save.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So it's 1 damage scaled up by the Reaper penalties and stuff now. So you actually have a chance to not be helpless when you successfully save versus it.
Hmm.
So that helps a ton with the brains in the jars.
Well, what do you all think about them kind of revisiting a map from a previous quest? Because they don't do this very often, but it made sense story wise, I guess, because they're going back to find the Baron. But I don't know. What do you all think? Is that okay
I thought
with
it was
you?
fine.
It's fine.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I didn't mind it because again, it did make story sense as you said, and the puzzles were not exactly the same. You had to pay attention to like, oh, I have to do this to do that. I think the only thing that I really minded is the running back and forth between the actual switch and the puzzle, and flipping the switch and then that back and forth was annoying. But beyond that, I didn't really mind it one way or the other. And we got to go see the room that we couldn't see before that. It was taunting us in the earlier quest. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't go in there yet. I'm like, we're coming in there later. I'm sure of it. And
I
was
assure
like,
you, I can, Mr. DM.
I assure
It
you,
was,
I will in the
yeah,
future.
it was only half the dungeon that was shared, right? Because then you go upstairs and do the rest of it.
Right. It's just the bottom part.
Yep. I know a lot of people had trouble with the puzzle, and I don't know if it was the note wasn't visible enough for people to get to read that for the clue. I saw a lot of complaints in Discord around that puzzle, and I
The
not
note,
sure.
I don't know if they revised it from Lamania. It does tell you. I'm trying to remember if this is the one where you run it to the right. I think
Yeah,
this
you
is the
do
one.
it to the
It does
right on
kind
this.
of tell you, but you do have to. Probably a lot of people just weren't reading the note, or they assumed it was the same as the previous quest. That's my assumption. They were just lighting everything up and didn't understand why it didn't progress. But it did tell you. I mean, I read the note. Does it? It tells you
It
you need
tells
to
you the
run the
right
power to the
most.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it tells you. So I
Yeah,
don't
the note
know.
is different between first quest and second quest. But if
Yeah.
you assume that you'd already read it on the first quest, why would you read it on the second one?
Yeah, because I think that might be the issue. Because I think the first quest doesn't tell you really anything, whereas this one
tells you to
does.
overload it
Yeah,
with
so maybe
power to everything.
yeah, it just says don't overload, but it doesn't tell you that you need to light up all the runes in the first quest. But this one, it literally tells you need to run it to the right.
Yep.
Okay. Well, anything else on this quest? We'll go to the next one. If not, okay. Quest number 7 is a minor sacrifice, and this quest to me more than a lot of them really. This one stood out because you do have some unique, not unique, but unique to this expansion, different than this expansion. You see a lot of the Taken like monsters in this one, but this in the story basically for this one is there's a mine where the unbreakable heart, which is the artificial organ that's in Elise, What you find out, it was made by Victra, and we have to investigate that. And you find out that there's this goo in the mine that's causing the miners to mutate into creatures that, again, I don't think they're supposed to be taken, but they kind of reuse the taken body form in this one. They're just supposed to be mutated creatures. I would have loved to see a different body type for the mutated creatures, not just reusing the taken. That would have made this quest a lot better, in my opinion, if they did a new monster type for the mutated creatures. But anyways,
Probably didn't have time.
probably didn't have time. Yeah, that's my assumption. Let's see. But there's a series of electric barriers we need to bring down. So you go to the different speaking devices and you speak to the what is it? The director, I believe it was. Is it director? The leader of the mine there, whatever his name was.
The overseer?
Is it overseer? Is that what he is? I can't remember what his title was. But in any case, you go and he kind of gets you through the mine because you have to find these two ingredients that are used to to find the unbreakable heart. But any thoughts on this one, y'all?
The acid pool can die in fire.
Yeah, do not also. This is a very bad place to get server lag. Don't get server lag while you're standing in the acid. That's very, very bad. But there's a lot of
That's the
acid
one
you have
with
to
the
avoid.
it's the one with the girders above the thing, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Don't float off to the side because you'll get blocked in when you do the drop down.
Mhm.
This one really angers me the first 30 seconds because you talk to the overseer. He's like, "Sure, I'll drop the shields for you when you get to the speaking devices." Then you have to walk 10 feet and talk to a speaking device to get him to drop the first one. And I'm like, dude, I'm right here. It's like I'm just imagining like I'm holding the CB radio and just screaming at him from 10 feet down the hallway, because it's just like, come on, we don't need it right there. Like we just talked, right? It's just like it feels very annoying to have that immediate delay right after you've just had this long conversation with him to get him to drop the first shield.
He's
Yeah.
establishing the fact that he's the person in charge.
I guess. Good thing you get to kill him.
You do. Yep.
Yeah. I will say, so I played through this as a Dark Apostate. These are the only two flesh golems in the entire set of quests that are immune to negative energy at the end. So I did want to call out, this felt like they intentionally made the whole of Lamadia where you could actually play as a Pale Master and not feel like this whole expansion your host. Like I was afraid coming in here as a Dark Apostate that all the golems, every single golem was going to be immune to negative energy. And this was really the only two golems that I ran into as a problem with that.
Related to that, Cold Druid is not as fun in this expansion as it was in previous expansions. Speaking of new critters, the snow oozes. Half the time I was spending. It's basically there were times in this expansion when I would switch over to Fire Druid and is like, well, I don't have a fire item. Oops. But at least I can use my fire elemental form and cast some fire spells and kill things. Because yeah, I was healing them with my cold. It was beautiful. Yeah. No.
Anything else y'all want to say on this one?
I'm glad I did it as undead, so I didn't get affected by the radiation.
I don't think any of the oozes here, from what I could tell, I'm not. Do they break your weapons? I don't think they do. Anyways, okay. Well, anyways, let's move on to Cold Snap, which is quest number 8. So in this one, we go to the Isle of Agony to find the unbreakable heart. And let's see. There's the only thing that really stood out to me with this quest is there's some small platforming where you have to hop over some little islands, and if you fall, there's a mist below you, a cold mist. You'll take a cold dot, but it's really low. Even on when I was running on R6, even it was still like really low damage, so I didn't notice anything. Like it wasn't really much of a threat to me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe on R10 it's worse. I don't know, but it seemed like the dot wasn't too bad, but there is a minor penalty to falling. But basically, you hop over the platforms. You click on the stones. What are they called? The big stone tablet things.
The rune stones.
Yeah, the runes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And you do that to progress, and then the second part of the quest is in a cave. So anything you all want to say on this one?
I did like the frost worms a lot.
Yeah, but you would think frostworms would do cold damage instead of force.
I know, right?
Uh, that's something, and it feels like they just keep tossing in force damage on random stuff because we can't resist it really.
Well, the good news, you Sky, mentioning in chat that
Hmm.
Cordovan as the DM felt out of place for this pack. They're going to replace his voice.
Yeah, there's a few, for anyone listening who doesn't know, there's a few quests where, or a few sections of dialogue that Cordovan stepped in and recorded because apparently they forgot or somehow missed
They
that.
missed a page, they said.
Yeah, so they're gonna replace Cordovan's audio at some point, but he still has other quests, like he does Tower of Frost, and I think he has the one
Catastrophe.
sentient gem. Yeah, so he still
Couple cool
exists
options.
elsewhere in the game.
This is
Couple
an
cool.
outdoor quest, right? We got to
Mm-hmm.
run around. But I'm gonna let Glassy talk about the optionals because that was one of the things I was gonna hit on. I'll let you go though.
Oh yeah,
Oh, okay. I was
yeah,
just gonna
go.
say a couple cool ones. I like
Yeah,
the climb up to the birds, or bird, I should say. The
yep.
Medusa inside, the
Hmm.
frostworm inside, or frostworms. Just don't break all the eggs at once.
Yeah, I learned that. Yeah, on the optional with the frost
I
worms.
knew better.
Yeah, just break the things one at a time so you don't have to fight what
And
4 or
range was
5.
very nice
Yeah, I
for
definitely
that.
didn't do that and fight like 4 champion worms on
Mm-hmm.
R6 at once.
Sure you
That
did.
was didn't do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I always like seeing Medusas. I just think Medusa is just one of the coolest monsters in DDO. So got a Medusa optional. Really option worth doing too. You just go to the right, kill one Medusa, and get a chest. So yay for optionals worth doing.
If I remember correctly, I think there was something that Troy and Knockback talked about with the Medusa. I can't remember what the story was, but if watch Troy's interview with Knockback. Great interview, a lot of background stuff on this, um, which would be, you know, but I think they did talk something about that.
All right, anything else on this quest before we move on?
More claustrophobic caves.
Yeah.
And I don't mind them. I remember a dev diary a long time ago for the other game about how they couldn't make, Moria caves that claustrophobic because it would mess with your camera, and apparently they fixed that problem.
Okay, so quest number 9 is Locked Away, part 1, and then quest number 10 is part 2. But we'll talk about part 1 first. But this is a series of quests where you go into an asylum. And the things that stand out for me for this one is you have the mechanic with the head orderly where you can't actually kill him. You have to instead kite him and get him to charge into certain walls so you can get levers to advance. And then later on in part 2, you fight him. But the whole thing with part 1 is you're introduced to this mechanic and have to kite him around. So don't try to kill him. You can't kill him in part 1. But not too much else to say really. For part 1 other than that. That's really the main thing that stuck around. Some of the NPCs are worth talking to kind of get the vibe there that you are in an asylum. But anything you all want to say on this one?
I really did
I
like the mechanic that you had to aim the head orderly based on the telegraph on the ground. I mean, that was actually really well done. And knowing that you could, pile drive him and he would come back to full health, he's like, oh crap. Um, yeah, I thought that was a good start to his story. Um, and the whole fishing the key out of the sink, that was pretty cool. It's like, this is a fishing rod. I wonder what this is for. We're gonna take. I mean, that's classic D&D. You find
Mm-hmm.
something lying around, you're gonna need it later, every time. I thought that was brilliant.
And that's a situation where
Yeah.
you have to pay attention a little bit to the dialogue because if you don't, you're not going to know what to do because you do have to either backtrack or circle around to get back to the kitchen to use that and get the key.
Yeah, there's a couple things that was weird to me. One, they infer that the orderly's scared to go outside to where those patients are, and I was really hoping that would be covered later in the quest. Like, he won't follow you because he's scared, but I don't get it. Like, There was no real explanation. It felt like just there. And why the hell is he dressed like a ninja?
I know, right?
I'm like, I was like, why is this orderly dressed up like a ninja?
Am I
The
playing
werewolf orderly.
DDO or Ninja Gaiden? I don't know.
I learned the hard way that you couldn't kill him. I kept trying to kill him, and he kept coming back, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing wrong?
Yeah, I think everyone did that at first. I did that at first. Very first time I
I did
played
not.
this.
I actually paid attention.
He loves to brag about his dark gift, that's for sure.
Yep.
He's like, I can't die. Yeah, we'll see about that.
In the raid.
Well,
Yeah.
Part 2. Yeah.
We killed him with sporks.
Yeah, I know, right? We did. So, okay. Anything else on part 1? Well, we can talk both about part 1 and part 2. But in part 2, we'll go into now quest number 10. You can enter this quest straight from part 1, or you can enter it from the wilderness. I think it's a multi-selector on the quest window. But in any case, you go in. We were back in the asylum, and we find out the head orderly can be killed by following a recipe. So we have to find the different ingredients for this recipe and make a bomb to kind of strip him of his dark gift. So we do that. We get to the end fight, and we fight the orderly and the director. And then we, at the end of the quest, we kind of teleport to Elise's cabin for some story dialogue. But anything y'all want to say about this one?
I want to talk about the entrance. I was completely thrown off because it's a hallway in the asylum, right? I click on the entrance on the entrance that's there to go into the next part, and I'm teleported back into the exact same place I was at to step in down that hallway. So it really threw me off. I'm like, what just happened? Where am I at? But that was something that was, it's like I expected to click on that, kind of like when you're doing Tangle Route, right? And you're going from one part to the next part. You click on it and you transport it into the next room. I was expecting to go into the hallway, right? Rather than going back to the lobby of the asylum. That was just kind of jarring for me.
And with DDo's problems right now, 2 different loading screens effectively is twice the chance to get hosed.
Yep.
I was surprised with that. It didn't, yeah. That was a little frustrating.
I will say the one thing that was pretty frustrating for me for part 2, and hopefully they fix this, is if you can collect the bomb ingredients and put the bomb together before you click up the book, because I missed the book when I first played this and I didn't pick up the book, but it still lets you pick up the ingredients and try to build the bomb. So if you do that, the quest bugs out and won't complete. You have to make sure you pick up the book before you build the bomb, but it lets you build the bomb without picking up the book. So hopefully they fix that. I hope they do, but if not, watch out for that one, because it always sucks to get bugged out right at the end of a quest. So.
I would just say something that folks of a certain age will remember. Reading is fundamental.
Yeah, well, the quest just shouldn't let you, I don't know, it should just treat it as a separate ingredient, maybe. I don't know, so it doesn't bug out.
Yeah, it's just in one of those small rooms and easy to miss the book. I don't think, and I know there's, you can skip part of the quest with the safe if you have the proper skill check. But if I remember correctly, you still have to go down into that area where the rest of the code is.
I don't remember if an ingredient is down there or not that you have to pick up. Or it might require you to click on both, to get both sections of the code. I'm not really sure. Right?
Well, you don't have to have both sections if you have the listen check. You can crack the safe.
Yeah, you can get the key right from the safe without having the 2 codes.
But I can't remember. I thought you still had to go down there, which I thought was a little weird.
Yeah, that section is really designed that you go through and wrap around. Yeah. So that's just the way I did it for each playthrough. I didn't really pay attention to try to do it in any other way.
Yeah, because if you don't get the save code, you got to go down, get the save code, climb back up, get the safe, and then you can go back and around.
At least they make it worth it by throwing an optional chest down there to give you some mats.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, anything else in this quest, guys? Before we move on to the last quest in the story. And then we have 2 side quests. But okay, well, we have the last quest in the main story, quest 11, Snowfall and Sunlight. So in this one, we go to Victra's castle to confront her, and there's a bunch going on here with previous villains. So we find the Baron in this quest, which I thought was cool, resurrected again as a brain in the jar on a face hugger creature. So we have to kill him again. Apparently, we didn't actually kill him in the previous quest. We have to fight him again. This is probably the least linear quest in the pack. A little bit more complicated in that we have to power the way you complete this quest is we need to power the elevator so we can reach the top level where Victra is. So we have to find different levers that open more areas of the dungeon where we need to find other things that will power the elevator. And the other things for me that stood out, they have a puzzle here that's sort of similar to the puzzle in Grand Theft Auto from Vecna, where you have a note that tells you how to do the puzzle, and it's one of those light puzzles that is not it's not laid out like in a square or anything, like in the Shroud or something. It's just it's dispersed differently. So the note tells you exactly how to do the puzzle, but it actually doesn't tell. It actually tells you a longer solution. I figured out that you can do it a lot simpler than what the note tells you to do. You can actually just do it by by hitting 2 of the corners and then the top of the puzzle. You can do it by just hitting 3 lights. So that's how I've always done it, and it doesn't seem to be randomized or anything. So it seems to be the same solution every time, which I'm sure is the case since there's a hard asset, a note giving you the solution. So it's not randomized. So yeah, anything that you all want to say about this one, and any thoughts on the infight and the cutscene? So the infight, we fight Victra and her minions up on the top, and then there's a cutscene which I guess I won't spoil the end of, but there's a cutscene at the end that culminates the story. But anything you all want to say on this one?
You
I
have to
think
time your exit onto the battlements correctly, otherwise you'll miss the cutscene.
Oh yeah, like
This
on the
is
bottom, like after they fall. Yeah.
because I didn't actually get to see the fall or any of that stuff because I heard them speaking, like the voiceover was running, but I hadn't gone through the door yet. So by the time I got through the door, they were already down at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't I just followed instantly. So, but yeah, I could see where you could, if you don't follow instantly. Yeah, I could see where that would happen.
Also,
Yeah.
apparently, if you follow too quick behind and you don't let both of the NPCs go through first, you can bug it.
Really?
I've never personally had it happen, but I've heard stories. So
Oh yeah, someone told me that on stream, Dom, as well. Yeah, I haven't run into that, but I've heard that's a thing. But
I like the flavor of Victra being kind of wimpy overall. Like, her power is her creatures. Like she's in my opinion just a pushover, and you're just dealing with her immunity phases while she gets her creatures out.
yeah, she's
Yeah, it's
just a
different than
human,
like
right? She's not like she doesn't have any powers or anything like that. I mean, other
Well,
than her
she's the
dark
Dark
gift.
Lord technically.
Okay.
yeah, I was a little bit surprised that that she actually died outside of the raid.
Yeah.
Because in OG Ravenloft, Strahd got away from the last quest, and you then go fight him in the raid. I was kind of expecting her to survive, and then be the mastermind behind whatever was going to happen in the raid. But it kind of flips the story a bit, in that she's already gone. So what next? So the
Well,
raid will be interesting.
I think what we saw escape is going to
That's
be the raid boss.
exactly what I was
Right?
gonna
Yeah,
say.
that's.
There's a
But normally I
creature,
would have.
a very unique looking creature that we briefly see in this quest. Just for people listening, we see him run away and escape. I'm assuming that's the raid boss, but maybe not. Maybe the raid has nothing to do with the main story, like Mr. Norris didn't. As far as I could tell, the threats didn't really have much to do with the main quest and wasn't referenced. So maybe we'll just see something unrelated. But
So
I hope
it
it's
makes me
related.
wonder if she was the what is
Dark Lord.
the Dark Lord of this particular realm of dread. Um, does this mean there's somebody higher up the food chain who's actually pulling a few strings? Question mark.
Is she really dead? We thought the
Is
Baron
also the
was
question.
dead.
Like literally, there's a bomb that explodes right next to her. Like she should be, but you never know. They could always say, "Oh, she was resurrected,"
Maybe
or
some, grab her body.
"Oh, her because there's one of her minions at the bottom after the cutscene. Maybe after we run away, the
I think
minion came
Adam is
back
actually
and
referenced to something else.
Yeah, to
Well,
the original Lombardia.
yeah.
okay." Because Waisakai said in chat that he said he thinks the raid might be about Adam's stuff.
Yeah, so the original Lombardia was Adam. Adam was the Frankenstein and the Dark Lord of the original Lombardia. But you could choose to kill this Adam at the end of the quest. So
Oh, do you kill him?
Yeah,
I
that's why
thought
I
you
don't
just
think
send him away.
you can dispatch him.
Oh,
you can
That's
also
really?
the
kill
other
him.
option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
I
he
think
can't be part of the raid because what happens if you played it where you killed him?
yeah, maybe the raid's just gonna
Branching
be
dialogue is a thing.
that creature escaped, and the whole story is we have to go rein in the last creature of Victra that's running wild and rampant.
Yeah. Also,
Something like
that
that.
servitor was very small to be Adam. It was a tiny little servant.
Is he really dead if you dispatch him?
Yeah.
Well,
But
anything
it does
else?
beg the question: is who is actually the Dark Lord of this realm if it's not Victra? I mean, you can lean on the OG lore, which I was actually surprised Standing Stone chose this particular story, um, given the climate, etc. But I'm glad they didn't mess with it. Like they kept the core of the story.
They went with the most recent version.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they probably just have to with wizards. They're always going to represent the most current version.
And I'm gonna say Troy's interview knockback goes back a little bit into the discussion with Watsy about how they came up with the storyline.
Well, anything else in this quest before we move on to the side quests?
Am I the only one who did the side quest before doing the final quest in the thing? Because I really hate the idea of side quests being afterwards.
I did the side
I didn't
quests
have
first
to.
because they were the ones that I found, and I'm like, oh, I'll do these, and like this is not part of the storyline, but that's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah,
I just hated it in Vecna. It's like, oh, I've just defeated Vecna. Oh, I've got 4 other quests to do. What? It was very jarring to me. So when I noticed that there were these other side quests, I decided to do them before I finished the actual story.
my first run of these, I just ran them all. I didn't pay any attention to the story, so I didn't realize until later that these were actually side quests. But and I didn't do my actual read all the story until my second or third run. Actually, my third run of these. I like doing that because I learn a little bit more about the context of what's going to happen later, even if it does spoil the story a little bit. At least when I do read the story, I'm going to understand it better because I've seen all the quests. Okay, well we'll get into the side quests. Let's talk about light in the attic. So
Loved it.
in this one, yeah, a cold light walker is the main focus of this one. So there's basically the story in this one is there's a big light being spotted, and the police are asking us to investigate what this light is. And it turns out it is a cold light walker creating the light. So we kind of go through. It's a fairly short quest. We go through a building. This is maybe the one that would have been cool if we would have entered from say the top of a building or something. Could have climbed it in the wilderness area and maybe started higher or something. I don't know. I think that would have been cool, but it's a fairly short quest. I didn't really have a lot to say here. Kind of just go through the house, kill the stuff, get to the end. You have the infight with the walker.
I just have the line from the Rocky Horror Picture Show going through my head. There's a light over at the Frankenstein place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's everything. As soon as I heard this, like that's what's going on. It's the bright light at the Frankenstein place.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this one. I think it might have been because it was the first one I did um, after the Body Snatchers. Um, but I enjoyed this one. I mean, it's simple, straightforward, but I introduction to the Cold Light Walkers. I'm like, oh, that's different. That's cool. I like that. Um, so I have no complaints about this one. This one was just a good standalone type of quest.
Okay, we'll go to the last quest. Last side quest is Zoo Creeper. So in this one, we go into a zoo. We have to find parts to repair the feeders, the automatic feeders for the animals. Not much to the quest. There's a central area, and there's northwest, east, south. Uh, this does give you the backstory, as mentioned below, before the backstory and the face hugger type monster is kind of like the previous side quest. Kind of gives you the story on the Cold Light Walkers. So if you want to learn more about those monsters, run these quests. But yeah, basically Victra was experimenting on animals, and that's what created the face hugger, monster, which I keep calling it that. I just that's what comes to my mind instead of the actual name. But anyways, any thoughts on this one? We fight a bunch of obviously different monster like animals. There's a fight with a crocodile, and we got some panthers, and I don't know what else. There's a few other monsters I think we fight.
Fish
Birds.
horse.
The
Yeah.
We
fish
do fight a
horse.
fish horse.
Oh yeah, we fight the golem horse. Yep.
Yep.
That was actually
We get-
kind of cool to see that outside of just the goodies from from buying the expansion. That actually had a place in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the rare placement where they place the fish horse just outside of this quest as well is kind of cool.
Mhm.
Made sense location wise.
There is one visual bug they do need to fix in the aviary. All of the cages were oriented a specific way, but the actual art asset they use for it has one section of it is not actually closed in. So all the birds on most, like 3 of the 4 sides of that area, could just fly out of their cages.
I almost wish for this one there was even more animals to fight because it was mostly the mongrel folk
Mhm.
guys. I wish we would have just been nothing but animals. I want to fight chipmunks and I don't know everything, unicorns and bears and whatever,
Oh my.
wolves. That would have been more
Bears with
interesting.
chipmunk heads would
There
have
we go.
been
Yeah, just
interesting.
they should have gone crazy. I wish it would have been all nothing but animals in this quest because no one else. I guess there are others there, but I don't know. For me, it was
It was not a very good zoo to begin with.
yeah. It's like it wasn't there. There maybe should have been some displays for the different animals that you might find. Even if you couldn't find all of them, like at least show the different
I agree with you,
cages
Sakai, as
because
well.
it did not look like a zoo at all to me.
Yeah, I agree that the end of the quest was in a really weird place because I wound up missing like the crocodile entirely until I'd already completed the quest. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something, so I backtracked and found the crocodile.
Yeah, it's like a 2-minute quest if you speed run it.
Yeah, it is
It's
not.
pretty fast.
It's not super linear though because it lets you go in any of the 4 directions. But yeah, it ends there in the north if I recall correctly. So you
The
do
parts are always in the
but
same place.
the parts. Yeah, the parts are in different
Yeah.
places. So yeah, as soon as you learn where those are, you can definitely run it because I don't think they're random the parts.
Yeah.
So I think someone chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they're random. So once you learn
Doesn't appear to
where
be.
the spawns are, you can do the quest really quickly.
Yeah. The weird thing is, like, you turn on the machine, and I think if you walk out of there fast enough after that, like, you won't even see the boss spawn. There's like a delay long enough. Like, it's just like, oh, there's a guy over there now, type thing. After I did it the first time, there was really no indication that you're. I mean, you don't need to be indicated the boss is coming per se, but would have been cool to see it come in or something instead of just like 10 seconds later, oh, there's the enemy.
All right. Well, anything else you all want to say on this last quest? Waisakai says the spawns are fixed and he thinks the boss is too small. Yeah, it would have been cool, like a really large like face hugger monster, maybe.
Oh, I was just thinking, just something that we had didn't discuss, but it was kind of interesting. So in one of the quests, I think it's the Schloss Auerbrecher quest, the where you first go down, you have to fight the Etten and you kill the Etten.
Yeah.
And then when you go back there, the Etten bodies is missing. And then when you end up in the end quest, you find out where that Etten actually ended up. I thought that was pretty cool that you go through. There's like three quests where this mini story kind of follows through.
Yeah, it'd been cool if they'd have kept that thread with like the multiple things she released. If it had been stuff you had fought before that she reanimated, etc.
Well, yeah. What other like overall do you all have? What other thoughts you have of the chain just overall? Is there anything else that that came up in your mind or that we haven't talked about? Are you happy overall with the quests and the expansions, or are there things that you wish they would have included in this expansion that they didn't include?
Vampires.
Yeah, Dampier, Dampier. Yeah.
I
I
think
will.
one thing that was pretty cool was the favor reward being 5% fort bypass. Like,
Oh
it's
yeah,
unique and pretty useful
That
for
was
a lot of
that was
builds.
nice.
yeah. You want the favor reward for sure.
And I believe it's the first tier, so it's pretty easy to attain.
Uh huh.
Unless you're a caster, then you're like, meh.
And then the other one I think is hit points, is it not?
Yep.
Yeah, the second.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is it a fixed amount or is it? I think it's just a fixed amount. Yeah.
It's
So
5, but
Five,
it
but it
scales with
scales.
your hit point scaler.
Yeah. Yep. It scales, so it's a lot more than that. So yeah, really good favor rewards for this one.
I will say the text with the chain givers is really good. You start off working for them, and then eventually they kind of like, hey, I can't talk to you. You pissed off the mayor and Victra. Go away. Go talk to the other guys, type thing. And it, it feels like progression, right? Like you've made enemies, etc. So I thought that was cool to see. It's nothing really super unique, but it's fun if you're going one by one to read that one time with the chain givers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was actually an interesting bit of story, um, in that all the quest givers are not your best friends, and suddenly and there's a reason why you have to go to the other quest giver rather than, okay, why don't you just give me the next quest? No, you got to go talk to this person. So I thought it was a lot nicer than them telling you go talk to this other person, but they have an excuse for why you can't talk to them again. That's really nice.
Yeah, overall for me, I think it's a good expansion. It's not the best expansion that DDO's done, but the storyline is. I like the storyline. I don't necessarily like the way they, were all enclosed through all the stuff. I kind of get it, but um, overall, it's in the middle for me with regards to the expansions. Um, not my favorite, but not my least favorite.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's somewhere. It's not. It's somewhere between the middle and maybe a little bit lower than the middle. Like it's not. It's not bad. But I can see that they seem to be a lot more. Obviously, we're very busy this year with the server transfers and the lag work and everything, and it seemed pretty clear to me that that took time away from the expansion because there's a lot of stuff that's obviously copy and pasted, like the crafting and what have you, and things I would have liked to see that were they did much better even in Myth Draenor were things like they don't have there are no new puzzles here in this expansion. There are minor alterations of previous puzzle types or reskins, but there's no new puzzles. And I would like to see some monsters. While the monsters were cool, I would love to see them introduce mechanics that make us play the game differently, kind of like Pilgrim's Peril. And they did some of that in Myth Draenor as well with the Red Wizards, but stuff that makes us maybe care about kill order, or even something like the Kopru in Isle of Dread where they shoot the Chaos Orbs. And you kind of have to be wary of that and dodge those. But something that was more of a different video game thing that made us play the game or at least approach encounters differently, because I don't think you really have to approach, at least what I play, which is up to R6 and lower than that. I haven't had to approach encounters differently, and the quests. They're good in the sense that they're very repeatable, I think, and people won't have the same complaints they did with Mithranor, in that you don't have to run through the wilderness as much, and you don't have, some of the quests that drag, maybe like Vecna, with some of the quests there in that expansion that dragged. These don't really have that problem. None of the quests overstay their welcome. But on the same token, they didn't really mix up the gameplay much. They didn't try, like Mithranor had, say, oh, we're going to do a riddle focused quest. We're going to do a quest like Times Long Past, where you have to, it's very there's a lot of there's a light and a dark side. Like, they didn't do anything different. Kind of all these quests are pretty basic, kind of hack and slash. You go down the hallways, go through the rooms. I mean, there's some differences with, say, like the final quest, where it's a little bit less linear, but you don't have something on the lines of, say, Invitation to Dinner, like in the original Ravenloft expansion, where you really have a non-linear place to explore. And a lot of these quests are, I would like to see more open. We talked about this before, but I would love to see more open quests, especially would have been cool. Those are my, I guess, overall thoughts. An okay expansion, but you can kind of tell that they didn't have the time to put into this that they put into previous expansions.
Maybe I got spoiled with Isle of Dread, but man, I was disappointed in no secrets to search for.
Yeah.
That was such a fun thing in Isle of Dread.
And we're still getting
think
only one raid. I want 2 raids, please, again, in expansions. Why are we only getting 1 raid every expansion? That's disappointing to me as, an avid raider.
I think this expansion does show the effects of not enough time and not enough people. Why Standing Stone doesn't get the nod from above to open headcount, no idea. But they are clearly suffering from the need to have more people.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of what we get is amazing. Rare loot tables notwithstanding. Because the art team, like Yusakai was saying, art team is on point. Heck yes. So many new details or things. Honestly, some of the plaster textures in the walls, I'm like, you kind of borrowed those from the other game in Umbar. Yes, you did. And I don't fault them for that. The other game has borrowed some dances from this game, so it happens. But I think we can see the difference. Even 1 or 2 people no longer being on the team.
Mm-hmm.
We are missing Tonquin for sure. And there hasn't been a new Tonquin. And we need a new Tonquin. Or maybe just Tonquin should just come back.
Well, a lot of the quest design, I think it probably is just not having enough people, because a lot of the quest design, just for me, is not very ambitious. Like, we don't see, again, like Invitation to Dinner from the original Ravenloft, I think, is a great example. We don't get that kind of like effort put into a quest. It's mostly, the quests are, here's a hallway, here's a couple optionals where you have, a secret door in a chest, or a secret door with an optional mini boss encounter with a chest, and the rest of the quest is like hack and slash, go through a small hallway in a closed-in area, and it just isn't a very ambitious. Like, I want to see them try things and take chances, even if it's something, say, like Sword Sleds in the original Sharn expansion, which I think are very very polarizing in terms of how much players like that. But I want to see something more ambitious from the team. I want to see them take more chances, even if it's just like a weird optional or something, but something that makes us play the game differently, something that's very radical in terms of differentiating itself from previous expansions and previous content, and especially from other adventure packs. Like, expansion content should feel a little bit more beefy than a adventure pack, and I'm not sure that they did that here. But and I think you're right, Druid's Fire. I think it is just the lack of it's probably just the lack of people there at SSG, because I can certainly feel that they did this expansion. It seems like they kind of did the minimum here with what they could afford to do. You know, they
I
didn't.
don't think they did the minimum by any stretch. I think they did what they could with what they had and at the time.
That's a better way
And
of me to
one,
say it. I didn't mean the
yeah,
minimum. I meant like
yeah,
they did what they had to do to have an expansion come out and be acceptable.
mhm.
But that's what they all they probably could do with the personnel they had.
Right. I think honestly they would have been better served if they had the opportunity to push the expansion back a couple of months to add those things like the knockback said in Troy's interview of how they had to cut out the whole. There's supposed to be a whole Vistani thing going on there, and that they had to cut that. Um, so we can feel that there are cuts. We can see them. Though I would again point the new thing of going onto the rooftops. So that was, I think that was their innovation. The one thing that they could do innovation wise with what they had. But of course, once they announced the expansion, they were kind of locked in on the August 5th or August 6th to September 5th date. So they didn't really have much of a choice. And I don't think when they planned this all out that they were expecting the transfers to be still a thing, or that they were going to be happening after the expansion. Simply because something Severlin said at the Gen Con meetup was that their original time frame for the transfers was well past now. Like they had to change plans, and so everything got rushed out the door. And that's my interpretation of what he said is their original timeline for the transfers was not to end, was not to have that hard cap of August 31st. So something changed behind the scenes. He said he couldn't discuss the details, but something changed. It was out of their control, and so and this is the expansion. They made the best of it, what they had with the time they had available to them. And it sucks for them, honestly. It sucks for them even more for us because, I mean, we're just the players. Well, not just, but we are the players, but they are the makers. They are the ones who want to take pride in their work, want to not feel like they have to do crunch to get their work done. It's one thing I actually do like about Standing Stone as a studio is they don't do crunch. And you might think, well, maybe they should do crunch. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I am actually really happy that Standing Stone does not do crunch culture because I've seen that destroy people. Not not mess up their life. Oh, you missed your kid's thing. You missed your parents dying or something, which things that have happened to my friends who are in other companies that do crunch, but basically destroying their health, destroying them as people. And that's one thing that I thoroughly 1000% respect Berlin for is that he does not lead his studio that way. Um, and that he leads them to where they have time, they have downtime. They're not expected to work on the weekends, though when there's an emergency, yeah, they're going to do so. But there's some folks who are like, well, they should pull in everybody, all hands on deck. I'm like, how the hell is the art team going to fix lag? Seriously. You
Yep.
need your engineers. So that's my little soapbox rant for the day. But I have mad props to Standing Stone for basically trying to make sure that they don't turn their developers into like a meat grinding situation. So, but they're still putting in long hours. I mean, we've seen Cordo posting in the Discord. It's stupid o'clock. Sev himself was in Discord at like 1:41 in the morning. Trying to get a handle on what's causing lag or is still lag happening. So I give mad props to them for that.
Well, I'm totally fine they wanted to if they wanted to put the expansion off 6 more months so they had more time to do stuff. Because I always got the impression they did have some crunch. Because I would have much preferred them to shelve the expansion and work on it to fill it out more.
I
Personally,
think once it was announced for a certain time and it was locked in legally, then that turns into a big whole thing. It's like in the fine print, it says launch you get your stuff by September 5th. That's the date. If they then decide they have to delay past that, that's a huge mess where like you have people paying for your expansion and you were promising in the fine print in written text that they're going to get their stuff by this date and you can't do that, then you can get sued. So they had to get that thing out the door, warts and all.
yeah, I almost wish, like, let's say they had a time range. Just announce that it's going to release at the beginning of that time range, and if you have to delay it, that's fine. Then you just announce you're going to delay it. I do like having a date. I mean, obviously delay it if you need more time to work, so people don't have to crunch. But I like them. I wish they would just put out a date, even if they have to delay it later and move it later, because it does
Well, they
create
did.
hype. Well, they said it's going to be released in a range, right?
Yeah, it was like August 6th to September 5th was in the fine print on the page. But if you delay past that printed date, then that gets into the whole legal territory of, well, I wouldn't say breach of contract because there's no actual contract, but if you're promoting in your fine print that your people who paid you something, they get something by a certain time, then you have to deliver no matter what.
Yeah, but when they posted it, they didn't say it's going to release on, X date, specific date,
When they
right?
did the pre-orders is when
Yeah,
they
the pre-order
said
had
that.
that month time.
Yeah. Okay.
So I do want to say one thing about why I appreciate how Standing Stone makes the game. They do each of the dungeons by hand, right? They are not relying upon AI to generate dungeons, which some companies have started to do, especially when they're short on staff. And I appreciate the fact that they take the time and effort to place all those little pixels where they're going to be in the quests, so we can see, uh, what their final product is, right? And I know it takes time. And I just appreciate that they do that and that we're not seeing some random AI generated, you know, dungeons showing up all the time.
Okay. Well, Glassjaws and Sai in chat talked about the XP. So right now, and I haven't really honestly paid much attention to the XP, but I know it's low right now. A lot of players are saying it's low, and I know they said they were going to up it a bit. I don't know if did they do that this week in the update, or are they
They only did that for heroic.
only for heroic? Okay.
Yeah, they don't consider, or well, they didn't consider the legendary XP to be off. I think what Psy and I think a lot of us has noticed, especially on all these expansions, the XP is much lower than what we would think we're going to need for legendary TRs. Like if I ran everything right now, if I had fresh 30, I don't know that I'd have enough to get anywhere close to like a 36, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's kind of a crutch because we don't lose our XP when we TR. But if we start having legendary TRs, are we going to have enough XP with everything we have right now to even get back to close to cap
Right.
without having to rerun stuff over and over and over? And the exponential increases in every single level, it seems like we're not. Like the amount of XP we need in the legendary levels is insane right now compared to what we're getting from quests.
Any other thoughts you all have on the XP? Dom, what do
I
you think?
honestly
Do
haven't
you
noticed.
Dom, were you happy with the expansion? Is there anything like you wanted to see that they didn't do? Anything that particularly annoyed you?
To be honest, like overall, I think it was all right. I like the mix between Dread and MD in terms of like the crafting and the augments. One thing that would have been nice would be some more minor artifacts because Dread had like 6, I think, and this one only has 2. But otherwise, like overall, I think it was fine.
Yeah, I'm kind of waiting until the raid to really give my full like A to
Yeah.
F on it. I'd probably say right now it's a B. Some of the things that really drive me nuts with SSG is the lack of attention to things. Let's go with the Dampier not be able to wear their clothing, right? Because it is part of this expansion, right? Like that's like a 1 minute check with QE. Can you actually put on the clothes on the iconic? Oh no, you can't because they're set for Eladrin. And it took how long to get that fixed, right? Like it's a minor thing, but it shows inattention to some of the details, and things just getting missed or ignored as they're rolling things out. I come from a quality background, so things like that just irk me. That are like a 2 minute check. This isn't like something that was super complicated to look at, so it doesn't give me a lot of faith in some of the systems and the more deeper, complex things if you can't catch the very basic stuff. And
I
so
hate
that always,
typos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was about to bring up typos. You
The
read my mind.
typos were driving me bananas in Vecna. I remember them.
Yep.
And yeah, it's the same basic notion as that.
Yep.
Do they not have a spell checker in their coding app or something?
I know
Did
that's
no
it,
little red lines pop in
Yeah.
there.
the DNTs and half the checks.
Like, why don't they just type them into
Resurrectionist.
Microsoft Word at first and then copy paste,
Yeah,
cut
you'd
and paste,
think.
because that would have a spell check if nothing else. They could cut and paste it from Word into their program.
LibreOffice, whatever.
Yeah, it happens way too often.
See, Troy, you can't diss them for Resurrection because Axel spelled it the same way in his show notes. Little tease to the host.
Well, true, but I'm not publishing these show notes in
True.
a video game, so I don't care about spelling. Let's see.
But it's a common misspelling. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, Tavern Tale said we finally got a real alchemist and warlock bad guys. Yeah, that's true. There are some alchemists. It was like I noticed that there's some alchemist enemies in this.
Oh yeah, I would
the
attack those
expansion.
first. Speaking of alchemist, Drosshard is a terrible hireling.
Yeah.
He sucks,
Yeah.
and
He
he's
would get
got
an
better
F
cosmetics than
minus.
we do.
Yeah.
They still need to do some work on him for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Drosshard.
Oh,
Maybe because we got spoiled with Rana in the last expansion. She's freaking
yeah,
useful.
she's amazing.
So
I was
far,
just using her.
Drosshard hasn't melted a single lock for me.
I was using her like well through epics, just on my fighter
yeah.
life.
Free res.
Yeah, it's because okay. So is there a way? I will say a good thing about Drosshard. He looks really cool. Is there a way in the expansion to get the stuff he's wearing? I don't know if there is or not. But
Not that I've seen.
we should be able to get that and wear it on our characters.
I think I
Yeah.
pulled out Drossheart like once or twice just to try locks, and I don't even remember what he looks like because he was so bad. I'm like, yeah, you're going into the delete pile.
Plague Doctor outfit.
Yeah, the
No,
Plague
that's
Doctor
right.
out is like when I saw his outfit, I was like, oh wow, we should. I hope we get. When I saw him on Lamania, I was like, oh, that's so cool. We're gonna get cosmetics like that. We did not. We got the Victor wannabe outfit, but you need the Plague Doctor mask. That just sells the whole thing.
Hopefully the raid.
Want to mug the hireling and steal his clothing?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He
I know,
won't be able
right?
to fight against you. He does seem to have a really good negative hit point pool, if I remember correctly. Like I think he can go to like -1,000 like a normal alchemist, or the healing alchemist, I should say.
But if anyone in chat
All I know
has
is that
questions,
he made me want to play my own alchemist.
if anyone in chat has questions about anything, not just chill, but anything, feel free to, or topics you want us to chime in on, please post in Twitch chat.
I do hope the raid is not like a one-room raid.
Oh, I
Or
know, me
something
too.
super quick.
I hope
Yeah.
it needs to be a filled out, like, more complex experience.
Well, if it is the wax museum, I'm assuming we're going to have all those wax enemies attacking us at the start.
I hope it's something as good as Curse of Strahd. And I hope it's not something like, threats where it's just hit points and lag, and a boss has nothing to do with the storyline.
That's one thing I forgot to give them props on. They scaled back the hit point craziness so far.
Yeah, and I will have
It
to.
felt like the enemies are much more balanced.
Oh, yeah. On the raid, I do have to not be negative and give SSG props because they did make up for, in Mithrin War's raid being not so great, they did make up for that with Den of Vipers by putting the Hydra raid out there for free, and that's a great raid. So hopefully something.
No, Troy, don't say it.
Something as good as
Don't-
that.
We like knockback. We want him to stay.
Sardonic says one of the best things with Chill is they made the optionals for chest worth doing. Yeah, I 100% agree. That was really good. We can now get augments in the optional chest. I'm not sure if we can get named loot. maybe, but we can get optionals or augments. I'm sorry.
I think some people actually were complaining initially because they found out that you want to do the optionals to get the augments later on, and they're like, "Ooh," they didn't say anything about doing the optionals to get augments. So I know there was a vocal group on the Discord that was complaining about that.
I
That
thought
they're
they
like,
had posted on the forums that in the LAM preview that optional chests would be doing that, but that's obviously LAM
yeah,
forums and stuff. So
yeah, not everybody reads that.
yeah,
Sai asked about anything about dark gifts. Yeah, we talked about dark gifts some earlier in the podcast already.
Another thing would be it'd be nice if they made specific toolkits for like sun and moon augments, so you're not using jeweler toolkits.
Oh, yeah,
And
that would be
on
cool.
that, like also lowering the price of jeweler toolkits to be in line with
That
everything
Yeah,
too.
else.
yeah. Jeweler's toolkits are the one thing that particularly annoys
The
me because
worst.
I think they're way too pricey and they should be more available in game. Like, just put them. They should be on every saga reward list, or at least as an like give me the option to pick up a jeweler's toolkit or two. That'd be a good reason to rerun sagas.
That would be a reason to ask Celestrata really nicely if she would consider doing that. Changing the price of the jeweler's toolkits.
Yeah, and especially with this expansion, there's so many augments. You know, Sun Moon and the new, and they did put the I guess they're equivalent to bone pickers from Dread. I forget what they're calling them, but the remover,
Victranium.
yeah, Victranium
The Victrinium pick.
pick, yeah, they put those. I saw in
Man,
the
that lady
store
like to put her name on
recently.
everything.
I'm
yep,
assuming are those? Did you all see if those were in the Saga reward list? Because I know
they
They
are.
are,
they are.
but
Okay.
it's only one per.
Right.
Is it like Dread where it's like only one and it's only like 25 or 20% of the time it even shows up?
It seems to be pretty consistent. Usually, I see
Okay.
two options for them in there,
Oh,
but yeah, you only get one.
yeah, we need more than one. There's so many. Like, if you want to respec your gear, I mean, how many of those things are you going to need? 'Cause some items have like 4 slots, and you might need 20 of those things just to revamp one gear set.
Well, we haven't seen any of the four slot gear yet, right? We've only got the armor with three. That was accidental three.
I'm not sure. Like I said again, I haven't dug too deep
Yeah,
into the gear. I haven't farmed anything yet.
I think the four slots to be raid loot only.
yeah, I think so as well because there was
Yeah,
some from the
Woeful
LAM.
wasn't supposed to be on it.
Yeah, there was some
Mm.
four slot gear that was on the LAM preview that no one has found in the quest yet.
Let's see.
What was it with the armors from the wilderness? There's something about that where they had added
Yeah,
like they had additional slots and then they had to make adjustments.
yeah. There was initially the armor had two powers and four slots, and one of them at least they couldn't craft in because the items went dropping. Luckily for them, so they revoked that one but left the three slots on there. And then the stuff in the raid will have extra. So we're getting a little bit more power from the armor than what we're supposed to out of this expansion. And I am happy they stuck with the sun and moon augments. I know they talked about that with Mitronor, the design philosophy change. I mean, I do think it's a step back as far as like our power goes, right? We're losing a lot of kind of artifact bonuses due to the number of slots you get with solar, but I do like the consistency. So we feel like the gear, like we could take an augment that maybe we only have the heroic version while trying to find the epic version and use that for a while, etc. So like I do like the consistency at least with the sun and moon slots.
I like it. It has it has pros and cons, which I think probably I lean more towards the pros over the set bonuses. But yeah, I mean, the flexibility is nice, but it sure makes things harder to farm because you have to basically farm out two things now:
Right.
augments and your gear. Like, remember, like back in the day, Sharn came out. You wanted your Sharn part of the family set. You just needed 3 items, and that's it. Now you have to farm out the items and the augments, and the augments and items share the same loot tables, which the loot tables have more items on them nowadays. So it's harder to get the item you want. So it just increases farming time, but the flexibility is nice. And then if you want to change stuff, instead of unequipping an item, you now have to unslot with either a paid store item, or if you got it through a saga, you can use that. But yeah, pros and cons. I think the flexibility is likely worth it, but I would like to see them be a little bit more generous with the unslotting items, and definitely with the drop rates and getting the augments on their own separate loot table.
Well, I think in a year or so we're going to be overflowing with the augments, so people will be able to trade them a lot easier.
Yeah, and they are
Right, 'cause
unbound
we're
at
not-
least.
Yeah,
Good
because
props
they're
to
not
SSG for
increasing the
that.
power on them at least. We probably won't see like a new power level of augments till 40 would be my bet on the artifact bonuses.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you all want to bring up? Anything we missed? Any other final thoughts on the expansion? I think we're about to wrap up here, unless I see more things in chat. Side mentions no new filigree. That's a good point. Yeah, it's reusing filigrees from, I forget which expansion, but yeah, it reuses filigrees. It's no new filigrees.
One of these years, Wizcasters actually need to get a raid filigree, since there is no raid filigree for Wizcasters, which is sad.
Okay, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap up then. So, if you all want to go around and just give your final plugs, let people know where they can find you. Druid's Fire, you want to go first?
Okay. Hi. I am Druidsfire. You can find me on twitch.tv/Druidsfire, youtube.com/Druidsfire, all the things, whatever, /Druidsfire. I will be on DDO stream Sunday nights at 8 p.m. until 11, running fairly casual shenanigans. I generally run things on Elite if I can, hard if I don't, because I don't want to stress about playing my video games. But that's how I jam. I also stream on my own channels Mondays and Saturdays, unless I'm working on a Saturday, because hey, having two jobs is fun. And I'm also a streamer on the Other Games channel, so you can find me Fridays either right after Cordovan show or after the Professor's show, who's after Cordovan show on Fridays. So good times, many SSG games. Handle it.
Glassjaws?
Yeah, hey, I'm Glassjaws. You can catch me here on Twitch, or harassing these folks on their Twitch streams.
Yeah, I think it's twitch.tv/glassjaws underscore or
glass_jaws. Yeah.
glass_jaws. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
Nomad?
Not a big promoter.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll let people know where to find you. Nomad?
Nomad Dog, you can catch me on my regular live streams at twitch.tv/Nomad Dog, usually Wednesdays and Friday nights, starting 6:30 p.m. Hawaii time, 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 a.m. Eastern. And then I do stream on DDO stream on Sundays at 2 p.m., where we are currently going through our every quest, every optional. So I am in the process of running every single quest in the game that I can and doing every single optional. And so far, we have gone through all the 1s and 2s, most of the way through the 3s, and we'll get through some more of Salt Marsh this weekend on Sunday. So it's a project. It's something, because I think, like we've talked about optionals in the game, I think a lot of people, especially in the earlier content, have skipped optionals, and it's just an opportunity to kind of showcase the optionals in the game for DDO. And then I can also be found at YouTube/Nomad Dog Gaming, but I haven't posted anything for a while. I need to get back on that. So thank you much for having me, Axel.
Yeah. Dom, is there anything you want to plug or let people know where they can find you?
Yeah. I will drop my Twitch in chat.
And I will link his Twitch along with everyone else's Twitch and YouTube's below. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it below in the description.
Perfect. Yeah, I only stream on Twitch, but only occasionally. So that's where you can find me. And again, thank you for having us on the channel.
Yeah, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Okay, guys. Well, as I said before, you can find this podcast on YouTube, on my YouTube, which is Axel's DDO channel, or I'll also post it. You can just go search for Axelcast on Spotify. I post it on Spotify as well. I want to say thanks to my Patreon supporters, Benjamin Manuel, Brian Rasmussen, Vavklov Snyder, and Brent Erickson. I'll see you all for the next podcast. Have a good rest of your all's day. Later.
Take care. Bye.